got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports. Saturday, August 15th. We're still treading water, man. It was a 1-1-1 day on the show yesterday. Probably should have been 2-1. We did get an easy win with the under in Miami and Cincinnati in baseball. First 5 under. I think it was no score at the end of 5. It was an extremely low-scoring game. Both pitchers were good. Full game was an under as well, obviously. I think it was a 1-0 Miami win. So both pitchers pitched really deep into that game, I'm pretty sure, so that went well. Kansas City looked like it was going to be a winner, and they won the full game, and they pushed the first 5. It is so frustrating, dude. Like, you can't bank on their bullpens. You can't go full game with Kansas City. Anaheim's bullpen is also bad, and that's how it worked out. Kansas City wound up winning a close game, but end of 5, it was 5-5. Kansas City blew a 3-0 lead in the third inning in that game. It looked like it was going to be good. I'm like, all right, as long as Lugo can hold a 3-run lead here for 2 more innings against a bad offense. And no, he can't even do that. He actually gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the third, so Kansas City was actually losing. After they were winning 3-0, they're down 4-3, and then they scored 2 runs. So then they're up 5-4. Which I think they were up 5-4 in the bottom of the 5th, too. And I'm like, okay, just hold. You're up 5-4, bottom of the 5th. And they give up 1 run. So they blew it again. Yeah, great. And then, I don't know what to say about WNBA. We're losing on the season of the WNBA. I mean, I'm not going to have a winning season in every sport in every season. That is the goal, and I'm going to do it in the majority of sports. It's bad, dude. Like, I don't think it was the wrong play to make. Like, I know there were professionals that were strongly agreeing with that one. The line went up to like 3.5, but Seattle was way behind, and then they made a huge comeback. They got really close to possibly being able to win that game. It didn't happen. They lost, I think, by 4, maybe, but that was because they intentionally fouled again at the end. They were within 1 point late, so the hope at that point was send it into overtime. That's like your only hope at that point. If you look at what happened, Seattle just shot terribly. Like, they wound up with more field goal attempts in the game, so it's not like they didn't have, like, based on the statistics, it looks like they could have won that game. I'm not saying they should have, I don't think it was like a misleading result, really, or anything. I think it was a pretty close game, and the final score was close. Not enough to cover as a favorite, of course, but Seattle shot horribly in that game. They did have more field goal attempts, so I don't know what else to say. Let's get into this crap here. Whatever. 2-1 Kansas City. Well, did you want Seth Lugo to stay out there? I mean, I don't know. Whoever they brought in gave up 1 run, but Lugo might have given up more than that. I have no idea. I don't trust any of Kansas City's pitchers. I just trusted Lugo more than whatever the hell Anaheim was doing in that game. Grayson Rodriguez, I guess. I think Rodriguez lasted longer than Lugo. He's younger, man. He's got more stamina. All right. Baseball. We have some afternoon baseball. I'm going to have a play right away here. I have 2 plays today. They're both baseball sides, and I'm simplifying this. I'm just looking at the pitching matchups. I'm going with what I think with the pitching matchups here, and the money doesn't agree with me on either one. Great. let's have an 0-2 day then. The professionals don't agree with me. Okay, fine. Oh, I haven't put the banners in yet, so hang on. First game up is going to be, you could probably tell already if you see the pitching matchup. We're going to take the Detroit Tigers on the money line, minus 134. You might have to pay a little bit more. I think I got it around let me double check. Let me see what I got the number at here. I think it's somewhere in this range. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right. Yeah, let me put the other banner in now so I don't forget later. I have one other play. It's one of the later games. Let me see. Yes, but I like Detroit here. I mean, maybe it seems obvious based on the starting pitching, but I think we're taking a pitcher that I think is under the radar, that people still don't really know who he is, against a pitcher that looks better than he really is. So that's what we're going to do here. Detroit's also in a bounce back spot. They lost yesterday to the White Sox here. We're fading the White Sox here. Detroit staying at home for this. Detroit's been pretty hot since the trade deadline, even though they got rid of Scooble and whatever. They're still trying to get into the playoffs. I think they might actually be in the last wild card spot right now. I'm not sure, even though they're below 500. As I pointed out, Detroit has the best run differential, or at least they did, in the entire American League. And if they don't have it right now, they're really close. White Sox have a decent one as well, but Detroit, one of the best in the American League. So Detroit, I think, is better than their record looks. White Sox, I think, are worse than their record looks. And I think you're going to get motivation out of Detroit here because they're 3.5 games behind Chicago. I still think Detroit has a decent chance to take this division. They're good at home, and this looks like the spot to do it, man. Bullpen usage yesterday was pretty similar, but I think Detroit might have a slight bullpen advantage here. White Sox used 4 guys out of the bullpen. Detroit used 3, but basically long relief guys, so their better relief pitchers are all available here. I'm fine with going full game on this. We'll go with the starting pitching and the bullpens here. Detroit's 14th. White Sox 15th, but I think it is a slight advantage for Detroit there. Although if you wanted to take Detroit in the first 5, you could do that as well. I think you'll be focusing on the starting pitching advantage they have if you do that. I think that's fine as well, which might be the biggest advantage they have here. But you'll have to probably pay a little bit more for it. So I'm fine with doing it this way. I think they will be motivated to get the win here. The offenses are pretty closely ranked here. White Sox 15th, Detroit 14th. Oh, wait, I'm looking at bullpens again. What am I saying? I think the offenses are close to that, though. 10th and 11th. White Sox 10th, Detroit 11th. So I'm arranging that by OPS. I'm arranging bullpen by whip, of course. We're going to fade Anthony K here. Every kiss does not begin with K in this case. He's got a 3.96 ERA, but a 1.34 whip. Indicates that his ERA should be higher than it is. He's also not as good on the road. 4.88 road ERA. You look at his overall stats here. I mean, first of all, he's a journeyman pitcher who just hasn't really done anything that spectacular in Major League Baseball. And in fact, he only had one season where his ERA was below 5, and that was because he only made one appearance in 2022. So when he makes multiple appearances, his ERA is above 5 every single time, except for this year somehow. After 2 years not even in the sport at all, or at least not in Major League Baseball, I should say. Yeah, so I'm not liking what we're seeing here. Strikeout walk ratio is still not good. It's below 3. Strikeout rate is okay. But other than that, yeah, I'm not really a fan of K here. He is okay in the hit department, doesn't allow that many hits. His walk rate's a little bit high. His strikeout rate, like I alluded to, is low. He doesn't strike anybody out. And against Detroit, his numbers are not particularly good, although they don't have that many at-bats against him. They only have 5 hitters who have faced him. 14 at-bats, but those guys have been able to hit him for a 357 average, 829 OPS, 0.1 strikeout walk ratio. I know it's not a big sample, but K is no mystery. You know, he did have one start against Detroit earlier this year, and it was a mediocre start. And we're going to back Troy Melton here, who is, I think, clearly the better starter here. The younger guy with way more upside. He's looked good since he's been in the majors. He's looked really good this year. 1.46 ERA, 0.9 whip. And while I don't think those numbers are sustainable based on the fact that he's not like a huge strikeout pitcher or anything like that, we don't need him to be that good to win this game. You know what I mean? Just be better than Anthony K, pretty much. He's slightly worse at home with a 2.1 home ERA, which is still fine. He's still pitching well right now. Detroit, by the way, has won his last 7 starts, so that's a good sign. They've won 10 of his last 11 as well. So, yeah, they're winning almost all his starts. He's got an extremely low hit rate. Doesn't really walk anybody, although, like I said, he's not a huge strikeout pitcher either. So his strikeout walk ratio is slightly below that threshold I look for with 3, but the rest of these numbers look quite good to me. Strikeouts per 9, whatever, close to 8. That's not really that bad. And he's been good against the White Sox. They have 51 at-bats against him, a 157 average, 565 OPS, 10-8 strikeout walk ratio worries me a little bit. Everything else looks really good here, though. I say let's do it. Detroit, I think they might be the better team here. People won't think that because their record isn't as good. I have no idea why the money's coming in against this. Like, is the public really playing Detroit here when they have the lesser record? I mean, maybe, I guess, with Melton versus K, but K, his numbers make him look better than he actually is. So 63% of the tickets, 52% of the cash on Detroit. So I'm going against the market read here. Detroit opened minus 160 something. It dropped all the way into the minus 130s. Okay, if you're going to give me the team that I think might be the better team with the better starting pitcher in a bounce back spot at this price, okay, fine. Let's take Detroit on the money line. All right, St. Louis and Chicago Cubs. Cubs won yesterday despite being in a return home spot. They won 3-0. And who started that game for the Cubs? It was Clay Holmes, right? So I guess Holmes doing pretty well still, I guess, over there. This matchup looks like on the surface it could be a lower scoring game, but I'm not quite so sure that I would actually agree with that. Cubs used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. They have the bullpen advantage here against the Cardinals, who only used 2, but the Cubs are the better bullpen. They're ranked 11th. Cardinals are, where are they? 21st. Cubs are the better offense by far. They're number 3. St. Louis is 26, so the Cubs have a big advantage there. Cubs are the better team, but you're going to have to pay a price for the Cubs if you want them. St. Louis is going with Michael McGreevy here. St. Louis is still going to show up, even though the Cubs are fighting for playoff positioning, whatever. St. Louis will at least try to play spoiler here, even though they are highly unlikely to make the playoffs. McGreevy has been one of their more, I don't know if I would say consistent, but he's, I guess, one of their better pitchers, if you want to say that, although the advanced analytics guys can't stand him because he keeps pitching pretty effectively, but he doesn't strike anybody out. He's got a 3.64 ERA, 1.22 whip, not bad. He's a little bit worse on the road in some ways, 3.9 road ERA, but not significantly worse. He's had a couple of outings recently where he didn't go deep into the game or he got bombed in one of those. And the one that he got bombed, by the way, was against the Cubs at home in St. Louis, which is a more pitcher-friendly park. So that's probably not a good sign, although he pitched fairly well last time out against Colorado. And his team has won his last 2 games and 4 of his last 6. But that start against the Cubs was really bad in there. McGreevy might not hold up against the Cubs this time either. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here. It's not too bad. He doesn't really walk anybody. His strikeout rate is low, which is why advanced analytics guys hate him. But his strikeout walk ratio isn't too bad because he doesn't really walk anybody either. Strikeout per 9 obviously is not a high number, though. His numbers against the Cubs are very bad, though. It wasn't just that last start. The Cubs have pretty much smashed this guy in 68 at-bats, 382 average, 1,006 OPS, 7-6 strikeout walk ratio. I'm not going to back McGreevy here. I can't do it. I mean, I know the advanced analytics guys don't like him, and I hold back on that a little bit because I look at his overall numbers and say, well, yeah, he's not that bad, but the matchup looks pretty bad for him here. Matthew Boyd is pitching for the Cubs. I think he is the better starter here. 3.5 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's been bad at home. Well, not bad, but he's been worse at home. 4.54 home ERA, so he's a little bit more questionable at home. Looked pretty good in his last couple starts, although he wasn't really striking anybody out, which may be a little bit of a concern. He's not really allowing that many runs for the most part here, but not really striking anybody out. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here. His walk rate's not too bad. Strikeout rate is kind of low, though, like I said. He's missed a lot of time with injuries this year. Had a pretty good season last year. The last 2 years he was good with Cleveland and then with the Cubs last year. Overall, his strikeout walk ratio is still close to 3, which isn't too bad. Strikeout per 9 It's a little bit lower than it has been in the past. It's in the 7s now, but I mean, I'm not going to say that's horrible. His numbers against St. Louis, he's going up against a weak lineup here, and he does do well against them. In 52 at-bats, 231 average, 656 OPS. So the Cubs should have the edge throughout this game. I think probably the Cubs are the right way to look here, but the problem is the price, right? Like, you're looking at a minus 170 here or something on them. The price dropped a little bit from the opener. 82% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on the Cubs. Looks like they might be a public side, but also with maybe professional agreement on their side as well. I don't know, but I think if you play the Cubs, you basically are going to have to do a -1 run line situation or something like that. Or I guess you could just take Boyd out of the equation, because I'm not going to guarantee he's going to pitch well here. You know what I mean? I think he should pitch okay, but he's not as good at home. And if you want to take that out of the equation, I think the more predictable thing here is to just take the Cubs over their team total. The money's coming in on the over. The Cubs crush McGreevy usually, so they should have their way with every pitcher they're going to face from St. Louis here, I would think. Total's at 9.5. If you want the Cubs over their team total, they're going to probably need to get to 6 in this game, but they're certainly capable of doing that. So that might be a way to look at that game as well. Yankees and Toronto. I first looked at this and I'm like, yeah, this is a complete mismatch in favor of the Yankees here, with one of their best pitcher, or probably their best pitcher on the mound against a bullpen game for Toronto, because Toronto's got all these injuries, man. It was supposed to be Jameson Taillon coming up after the Red Sox couldn't hit his ass at all. Taillon's hurt, so he's not pitching. Toronto's going with a full bullpen game here, and Toronto actually won the game yesterday, 3-1. And Savage is also hurt. I think he's shut down possibly for the season as well. So things are not good for Toronto here. The Yankees should win this game, but the problem is the price is kind of insane. But they are in a bounce back spot with their best pitcher on the mound here, although there might be some concerns with Schlittler, which I'll talk about in a minute. The Yankees do have a good bullpen. They used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Toronto used 3. Their bullpen is okay. Yankees are number 4 here, but I think they're the second best bullpen behind the Red Sox. So the Red Sox have had issues recently, and I guess I'll talk about that when I get to the Red Sox. Toronto is a decent bullpen at 17th, but not as good as the Yankees. Yankees are better offensively, too, even though they've been kind of bad without Aaron Judge in the lineup. They're ranked 15th right now in the course of the season. Toronto's still way worse at 30th. Schlittler pitching for the Yankees. He's had a good season, obviously. 2.21 ERA, .93 whip. I think he's still the front runner for the AL Cy Young. He's been really good on the road. 1.1 road ERA. Was really good in his last start at home. Just shredded Atlanta with 11 strikeouts in 7 innings. Although the Yankees, believe it or not, have lost his last 3 starts. And only one of them he was bad in, which was against St. Louis. The other 2, it was not his fault at all. For Schlittler, though, the one problem is innings pitched here. He's a young guy, and I talk about this. When you get around 150 innings, and he's close to it, he's going to reach that today most likely. You got to start to worry a little bit that a pitcher that's not used to that might run out of steam a little bit. But the fact that he blew away 11 hitters last time out, it doesn't look like he's fading yet to me. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. We all know all this. Strikeout per 9 and strikeout walk ratio are both really good. Nothing to really dive into there. Numbers against Toronto are not actually good, believe it or not, even though this is not a good Toronto lineup. Like, I don't really see Schlittler doing that badly here, but he has 81 at-bats against them, so they have a large sample size, and they hit 309 off of him. 729 OPS is a little low, so they haven't really hit him for power, but they've hit him for contact. 16-8 strikeout walk ratio as well. Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, it might be one of the more questionable matchups for him. And then Braden Fisher is listed as a starter for Toronto, but he's only going to be an opener, so I don't think I really have to go into that. It's a bullpen game for Toronto here, which I don't like, obviously. The total's pretty low here. It's 7.5. I think you might be able to play the over in this game. I mean, I don't know. It sounds kind of ridiculous, though, because neither offense has really been performing well. 59% of tickets, 74% of the cash on the under. So the money is coming in on the under, but Schlittler doesn't have good matchup numbers here. I don't trust the Toronto bullpen game. Not a lot of leeway here with 7.5, teetering on 7, although, I always talk about the odds makers when they put a low total out there, they're telling you they think it's going to be a low-scoring game, obviously. So I don't usually like to go over, but I wouldn't want to be on an under in this game. I think it might wind up going over. And the Yankees look like they're not getting the actual money here. 78% of tickets, only 70% of the cash on them. They dropped from like a minus 180 opener down into the minus 170 range here, or minus 160. So there looks like there's some real money coming in on Toronto. I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's all about the price. I think the Yankees are still the way to probably look in this game. I mean, I don't know how I would do it, though. Because you have to, make your own -1 run line or something like that with the Yankees. I don't know if I love that idea, although they will bat in all 9 innings guaranteed because they're on the road. You could go Yankees over their team total, maybe. Take the Yankees to score off of Toronto's bullpen game, but it is possible Toronto's bullpen game doesn't do that bad because their bullpen is at least okay. So maybe they'll get some okay pitching out of that against the Yankees lineup that has been struggling. So I don't know. I struggle with this game. I don't think there's a great way to attack it, really. Obviously, it's not making my card, I'll tell you that. And I don't know. My reaction when I dug into it was still maybe an over makes the most sense in that game. But I'm really not going to do it, obviously. Colorado at San Francisco. Colorado won again yesterday, 5-2. So Colorado, I think, has won a few games in a row here. I mean, these are two teams that are going nowhere. They're playing out the stretch here. It is a divisional matchup, though. Colorado only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday, but their bullpen is still ass. San Francisco used 4. I don't like their bullpen either. Colorado 27th, San Francisco 25th. I would avoid both bullpens in this game unless you're fading them. But fading them is avoiding them, really. Colorado is the better offense. They're 5th. The Giants are down to 19th. Like I keep saying, the Giants are not actually a legit offense, and they did trade some guys at the trade deadline. On the surface, this looks like a major pitching mismatch in favor of the Giants, but I actually don't think it is, believe it or not. Michael Lorenzen is pitching for Colorado. He's not good. 6.83 ERA, 1.88 whip, really bad. However, he's at least more serviceable on the road, 5.09 road ERA, so he's a lot worse in Coors Field, which you can understand why. He's been bad recently, though. He hasn't had a good start since the middle of July. However, that start was against the Giants, and it was in this stadium in San Francisco, so this might be an okay matchup for him here. One of the better matchups he could draw, although he still walked too many guys in that one, and that's been a problem for him. He's got a lot of problems, man. He allows way too many hits. His walk rate's not very good. His strikeout rate is not very good either. There's not a lot to like here, except that this might be an okay matchup for him. He's got a really low strikeout walk ratio. None of this is good. I mean, we know this. His strikeouts per 9 is pretty low. I mean, it's one of the lowest that he's posted. However, the Giants don't hit him that well. 29 at bats, 241 average, 668 OPS, 3-4 strikeout walk ratio. That's a bad ratio, but the rest of these numbers are good. So Lorenzen might actually do okay here because this matchup, I think, seems kind of like retrofitted for him almost, where it's a more pitcher-friendly park, a weak offense, an offense that doesn't do well against him, and he was able to pitch well against them last time, so he might be able to do that again. Logan Webb is pitching for the Giants. He's obviously the better pitcher overall. It's not even close. 3.59 ERA, 1.08 whip. Webb is usually better at home. This year, it's only been slight. His splits are just not significant this year. But he's been good overall, and he is pitching well recently. He's allowed very few runs recently after he had a stretch where he wasn't good. And one of those starts where he wasn't good was early July in Coors Field. He got massacred in that game. He's actually not good against Colorado, which I'm going to show those numbers in a minute. So this matchup might not be the best for him, man, even though he does pitch better at home throughout his career. He's been pitching better recently, so I don't necessarily want to fade him here. He's got a low hit rate, doesn't really walk many guys, doesn't really strike many guys out either, though. That's just been his thing for forever, but he walks relatively few people, so his strikeout walk ratio is still all right. His strikeout rate has kind of gone down over the years, which is maybe a little bit concerning. What's most concerning to me, though, is that Colorado hits him well. They have 112 at-bats against him, 339 average, 850 OPS, 24-5 strikeout walk ratio. That's a good ratio, but everything else here looks bad. And Jake McCarthy absolutely destroys him. So if you want a player prop, you could be looking at that. Maybe hits plus runs plus RBIs over is what I look for when you find a batter that has a big sample size. But like a lot of these guys hit him well. Goodman, McCarthy, Moniak, Tovar, they all hit him well. So yeah, this is not a good matchup for Logan Webb. So, yeah, believe it or not, I think the way to play this game is to take Colorado in the first 5. I mean, I know it sounds insane. San Francisco's a big favorite, and they kind of have to be because Colorado's not a good team. San Francisco has the better starter here on paper, and it's really not even that close. Minus 170 is about the price here on San Francisco. They dropped a little bit from minus 180. They look public. 83% of the tickets, 91% of the cash on them. Totals at 7.5. Totals low, but the money is coming in on the over. I could see the argument for the over because Webb doesn't do well against Colorado. Lorenzen is really somebody you can't bank on. But if you're going to get Colorado with this specific matchup as an underdog like this in the first 5, you could take Colorado like plus the half run in the first 5 on the run line. Obviously, avoid Colorado's bullpen. Even though their bullpen is rested, there's no way I could trust their bullpen. But yeah, I think you might be able to get there with Colorado in the first 5 based on the specific matchups only here. I still don't want to do it because I'm like, oh my God, I'm really going to back like the way, way, way worse pitcher. But the matchup numbers, maybe I'm weighing the matchup numbers too heavily with that lean. I mean, it's not a play for me. But I think that's how I would do it, is Colorado in the first 5 on the run line. All right, Washington and the Mets. This is a Fox Sports 1 game. This is the last of the afternoon games here. Mets won yesterday 4-1. Mets have been playing okay baseball since the All-Star break. Or, I mean, actually, yeah, kind of since the All-Star break, but since the trade deadline. Mets, they do have the better bullpen here. They used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Washington only used 2, but I'll give the Mets the bullpen edge here. They're ranked 9th in bullpen. Washington is not good at 26. So Mets have the edge there. Washington has the better offense. They're tied for the number 1 offense with the Dodgers right now. The Mets are number 25. So that's what you get. Washington, good hitting, bad pitching. Mets generally kind of bad hitting, good-ish pitching. This game, though, I mean, I don't really trust the pitching at all in this game. But it's my enemy, Brad Lord, on the mound for Washington. It's like every time I try to fade this guy, he does well, even though he's only going to be an opener here. And by the way, I should have mentioned, as far as these openers like Toronto, if you're going to play the Yankees and Blue Jays game, I would pick Schlittler must start when you play the game here, but I would not pick a Toronto starter because it's not guaranteed it'll be Fisher, but it's going to be a Toronto bullpen game. So that's the way I would play that one. This one, I would say the same thing with Washington. Actually, I would just play action on this because you don't really know. Washington is likely to have Lord open, and then they're going to go with the bullpen game here. I'm almost positive about that because they traded Zach Littell away, and they designated Mikolas for assignments. They don't have either of those guys anymore. So I think it is a bullpen game for Washington. The Mets have put an opener in front of Sean Manaea multiple times, so they might do that again. So, although he's been starting recently, so I think he will start. But if you want to play this game and make sure that your bet counts and the pitching matchup, you pretty much know what it's going to be, except that there might just be guys coming in front of these guys or whatever. Action is probably how you should play this game. But Brad Lord, man, I can't figure him out because I don't think he's good. But his numbers look all right this year. 3.79 ERA, 1.18 whip. But he's only going to be an opener here. He is way better on the road, which is interesting. He went almost 3 innings last time out, and that was a game where I had the over, and it didn't get there, and it was because Lord pitched pretty well against Cincinnati. He might pitch well here. He pitched well, but then Washington's bullpen actually was really good behind him. I don't know how that happened. Like, do you expect Washington's bullpen to have a clean game through like 6 1/3 innings? I mean, come on, man. And all we needed was one more run in that game to get it to go over. I think it's ridiculous. Lord has been mediocre against the Mets, but I just don't think it matters that much. I just think when you handicap this, I think you're saying we're going to get Washington's bullpen for a huge chunk of this game. So that's really the handicap here. And then Sean Manaea pitching for the Mets. He is probably going to go with starter's workload here. He's had a mediocre season, 4.13 ERA, 1.32 whip. Some of this was coming out of the bullpen. His home road splits are very insignificant. He's not really better or worse either way. He was really good last time out at Pittsburgh, which is really impressive because they're a really good home offense. And he destroyed them. He went 7 innings, allowed 1 run on a solo home run. He had 11 strikeouts and no walks. That's crazy, dude. It's like Manaea all of a sudden was 10 years younger. Is he going to be able to do that again? Probably not, but he's pitched pretty well recently, other than he's had some command issues a little bit, which has been a concern with him throughout his entire career. But he's pitching better right now. His team has won his last 3 outings. He's pitching pretty well against some good offenses in here. Dodgers, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, like I said. So Manaea is kind of in good form right now, though his hit rate is almost 1 per inning, which is very mediocre. Walk rate is okay, so usually his walk rate is higher. He's kind of fixed his command, but he's become a little bit more hittable instead. His strikeout rate is actually good. It's above 1 per inning, above 9 per 9. He's only right at 3 for his strikeout walk ratio, though, but that's right on that threshold. And then he's right at 9 per 9 for strikeouts. So he's not that bad. However, he's not good against Washington. In 60 at-bats, 317 average, 845 OPS, 15-5 strikeout walk ratio. You might be able to tell where I'm going with this. I think over is probably the way to play this game. I don't really want to do it because Lord seems to always beat me when I try to fade him. And Manaea is in really good form right now. But maybe coming off that good performance, maybe you should worry about Manaea a little bit coming into this. Although he's a veteran, so I don't think it's going to matter that much. But his numbers are not good against Washington. Yeah, I think there are more things that point towards an over than an under here. And I think that is I don't really have a good opinion on the side. So I think that is how I would look here, is over. We got 56% of tickets on the under, 58% of the cash on the over. The total's at 8. So it's a pretty reasonable total here. It's kind of on the lower side, which worries me a little bit about the over. But when it's in 8.5 range, I think playing an over or an under is viable. You know what I mean? It all depends on how you handicap the matchup and whatever as well. The money is backing Washington here as well. 64% of tickets on the Mets, 77% of the cash on Washington. I don't see it, but I think if you're going to do it, I think you should probably back Washington in the first 5 only, because I would try to back them early and avoid as much of their bullpen as possible. You might be able to do some books offer like a first 3 inning type of thing or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't do that shit. I don't get that granular with it because it's just, I don't know. I think it's just stupid because you're giving yourself too small of a sample size for your handicap to really play out, which is why I also don't like the run in the first inning or no run in the first inning. The, Yurfie and Nerfy. I don't do that shit because it's just, you're gambling on a fluke basically. So yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, over would be my lean in that game. And the Mets are favored at about minus 140 or so, which seems kind of crazy, right? It seems kind of crazy to me that Washington's getting the actual professional money. Like, why would the Mets be favored? You would think that the public would play Washington here, right? Because doesn't Washington have the better record? And they certainly have the better offense. And that's what the public looks for. So why would the public not want to take Washington as an underdog here? You know what I mean? Like, it almost looks too easy to take Washington as an underdog. It looks like one of those misleading lines from the books that's kind of signaling to you that the Mets are going to win this game. And, Manaea has bad numbers against Washington, though. So that would be my concern. Again, I like the over. I think I'm just talking about this game too much, but I don't know. I can't figure out the side. Money is saying Washington, but I don't know, man. I mean, maybe I even prefer Manaea over a bullpen game, but maybe that's my old school nature, just hating the bullpen games. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay lost yesterday, and we didn't really know who the starters were going to be in that game, but I did say you could just kind of take a blind shot on the Orioles. That was my lean in that game, and it was entirely because Tampa Bay was returning home from a road trip. and they got caught. They were traveling cross country. It was a bad spot for them. Returning home, distracted spot. They lost. The Orioles got up for the game, I think, because it's a division rival. You're going to get up for it. Now, normally I would say it's a bounce back spot for Tampa Bay because when you have a bad game when you return home like that, a lot of times you're now adjusting in the next game. You're focused. You get ready to go. You play better in the next game. My problem with that is Tampa Bay lost a 9-game win streak with that loss. And one of the other things I say is that when a team loses a long win streak, a lot of times they'll lose the same game twice effectively, and they'll be hung over coming into the next game because it's like that momentum just completely stops, and then you get, it's like you slam on your brakes basically, and you get ejected through your windshield. You know what I mean? These Tampa Bay guys, maybe they're not wearing seat belts. I don't know. So I would say that. So there are some indicators towards Tampa situationally, but there are some other indicators against them situationally. Tampa has the higher ranked bullpen, although I think the bullpens are somewhat close. Tampa did use a lot of guys yesterday. They used 6 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Baltimore used a bunch as well. I think it was an extra. Was it an extra inning game? I don't know. Baltimore looks like they used 5. Let me see. No, the only extra inning game was Houston-Seattle. I don't know. But a lot of bullpen usage in that Baltimore-Tampa game yesterday anyway. I think maybe at least one of the teams was kind of going with a bullpen game. I think maybe they both did. Tampa Bay, number 2 in bullpen, although I don't think they're that good, but I would say they're in the top half of bullpens. Baltimore, where are they at? They're 13th. Yeah, I think they're about a mediocre bullpen. Tampa's better, but only slightly. Tampa is the better offense. They're ranked 6th. Baltimore is, where are they? I don't even see them. What the hell? 17th. All right. Kyle Bradish is pitching for Baltimore. I don't think he's that bad. 3.69 ERA, although his whip isn't really that good. 1.34. He's been worse on the road, 3.99 road ERA, but what's more concerning is the 292 opponent batting average on the road. So I don't really know if I necessarily want to back him on the road. He was good in his last start against Texas. He was kind of struggling the couple starts before that. He was good for a few starts in July before that, though. So he's been kind of off and on. So you got to kind of figure out, is he in form right now or is he not? Maybe he is because his last start against Texas was good. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here. His walks are the main issue. The walks are way too high. Strikeout rate is okay. So overall, I think he's a guy that's got some talent, but his strikeout walk ratio is way down this year because his walks have been awful. So he's got to figure that out. His strikeout rate's decent, although that's gone down a little bit as well, actually, from some of what he's done in the past. He's been decent against Tampa Bay in 75 at-bats, 240 average, 713 OPS, 18-8 strikeout walk ratio. That's not too bad. Ian Seymour is listed for Tampa Bay, but I will say if you're going to play this game, Tampa Bay, they might put an opener in front of Seymour. They've done it multiple times, so I would say you pick Bradish must start. Don't pick a starter for Tampa Bay because I think Seymour is going to be in the game. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to pitch the first inning as well or not. Seymour's been all right. 4.08 ERA, 1.13 whip is pretty good. He's been good at home for the most part. 3.50 or 3.5 ERA at home, I should say. 184 opponent batting average at home is really good. He's been good recently. A lot of strikeouts here, not allowing a lot of runs. So he's back in form right now, it seems. He's got a low hit rate on the season, although remember, a lot of this was him pitching out of the bullpen early in the season. And then he might have made some opener appearances too. I'm not sure. I think they've kind of used him in a bunch of different ways. He doesn't really walk that many guys, which is good. And his strikeout rate is actually pretty high. So his numbers are actually pretty good here across the board. Strikeout walk ratio looks pretty good. It's above 3. He's got a strikeout per 9 above 10, which is pretty good. And his numbers against Baltimore are good. In 27 at-bats, 185 average, allowed 538 OPS, 7-2 strikeout walk ratio. I think first 5 under probably is the way that I would do this. Normally I would say full game under. The problem is because I don't think these bullpens are that bad, but the problem is the bullpen usage yesterday was pretty bad. So I think I would go first 5 under here. The total is low at 7.5, and that's maybe kind of a problem because it means if you're going to go first 5 and exclude the bullpens, you're going to be looking at like a 3.5, which, that's really on the razor's edge there, and I don't really love it. But I think that is how I would play this probably. Money is backing the over, though. 57% of tickets on the over, 64% of the cash on the over. But yeah, I probably prefer the under, like I said, in the first 5. If you wanted to go full game, I guess you could do that, and you get under that hook of 7.5. You just got to worry about the bullpens being a little bit overworked, which is maybe kind of an issue here. Although Tampa's is the better bullpen, and they're the one that Seymour work. So I don't know if that is more of a positive or a negative, really. Tampa's also the public side here. 80% of the tickets, 76% of the cash on them. Looks like they're kind of dropping from minus 150 down into the minus 140 range here. I could see the argument for Baltimore, but it would be mostly situational, right? It would basically be you're playing against Tampa losing their winning streak. You know what I mean? That would be the main reason to play Baltimore here. I don't think I'd want to go against Seymour, though. Not Seymour Skinner. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I have anything else to say about it. But yeah, I mean, Seymour has the better matchup numbers here. And I think he is actually probably the better pitcher as well. And he's still fairly young, too. So he might wind up just being a starter at some point here, and maybe that's already happening. Maybe he will just start this game, whatever. But I think I would go, first 5 under, and I would take Bradish must start, but don't pick a Tampa Bay starter because it will be Seymour in the game. It's just he'll either start the game or he'll come in the second inning, basically, and then go from there. And if he comes in the second inning, you'll still get him for the remainder of those first 5 innings, most likely. Miami and Cincinnati. I think I said Miami won the first game. I misspoke. Cincinnati won yesterday, even though they were in a return home spot. We got the first 5 under correct in that game very easily. The starting pitching was awesome in that game yesterday. Cincinnati with a 1-0 win in a return home spot, which is kind of crazy. This pitching matchup here, I'm not going to go under in this game. I'll tell you that. And perhaps the opposite might be my lean in this game. Cincinnati used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. I do not like their bullpen, as you know. Miami only used 1, so the bullpen's are rested. Miami's an okay bullpen. They're ranked 6th, which I think is overrating them, but they're not bad. Cincinnati is not very good. They're 24th, so I would avoid at least Cincinnati's bullpen here. Miami is 12th in offense. They're better than Cincinnati, who's 24th, which is not good, obviously. Ryan Gusto, however, is getting the start from Miami. And I think if you're going to play this game, you should probably pick Singer must start on the side of Cincinnati. Don't pick a starter from Miami because they might put an opener in front of Gusto. But it'll be him with the majority of the work for the first half of this game or so. He's not great. 4.78 ERA, 1.33 whip. He's not good on the road. 5.01 road ERA. His opponent batting average is much worse on the road as well. He didn't pitch that well last time out at home against Anaheim. Like, he just had a shortened start there. I guess he was good enough that his team still won the game, but I don't know. It was against a bad offense, and at home where he's better. Although on the road last time he was actually good against Atlanta. But prior to that, he was not pitching well. I don't think he's a good pitcher, so I would not trust him here. He's got a high hit rate. Walk rate is okay. Strikeout rate is actually okay, but he's very hittable, man. Strikeout walk ratio isn't too bad, as I just alluded to. Strikeout rate, not horrible, but still, he's hittable, man. He's not good enough, in my opinion. And Brady Singer on the other side for Cincinnati, he hasn't been great. 4.66 ERA, 1.43 whip is quite bad. Indicates that his ERA should be higher than it is, although he is better at home. 3.53 home ERA, even though this is a hitter-friendly ballpark. He's definitely pitched better in this stadium this year. And he's been in better form for the most part recently. Like, since the beginning of July, he's had basically like 1 bad start in here, and the rest of his starts have been pretty much all quality, so that's not too bad. Although it's kind of bad that his 1 bad start was at home against Cleveland. I don't know what that was about. Not a good offense, but he's been decent in his last couple starts. His hit rate is way too high, though. He's way too hittable. He's allowed a lot of home runs. That's a huge problem. His walk rate is okay. A strikeout rate is mediocre, but still the walks are actually kind of high, and it's going to lead to him not having a great strikeout walk ratio here. It's below 3, which is the cutoff that I kind of look for here. I haven't been showing these numbers on the show, but I'm kind of doing it now, although it takes forever, so maybe I should stop doing it. His strikeout walk rate, or his strikeouts per 9, have gone down a little bit this year too. And then, of course, actually, dude, I keep forgetting. We got to look at these pitchers' matchup numbers here. Gusto against the Reds, they only have 7 at-bats against him, 4 hitters have faced him, 286 average, 1,000 OPS. Blade has a home run against them. They have 2 strikeouts, no walks. So it's not a huge sample, but Gusto, in that small sample, has not been very effective against those Reds hitters, and I don't expect him to be good here. Brady Singer, as far as him against Miami, not good. In 34 at-bats, 353 average, 882 OPS, not good. The only thing that is good is the 6-0 strikeout-walk ratio, but you get where I'm going with this. I think over is the right way to play this game. You get 2 pitchers that I don't trust, even though Singer is better at home, and I don't like one of the bullpens, Cincinnati, so over makes the most sense to me. The total's pretty high. It's at 9.5. It's that way for a reason. If you can find a 9 somewhere, and looks like you can get it at, the Lion book with the M and the Roman Emperor's book with the C. Those books look like they're both at 9, juice to the over right now. So if you're going to play it, that's how I would play it, is 9 over -120, instead of having to lay the hook at the 9.5. 9 is a key number because you got to break a 4-4 tie in baseball. Money's back in the under here. I don't really get that. 65% of tickets, 78% of the cash on the under. Yeah, no. I don't like the pitching here. Maybe it's too simple, but I think the over is the right way to play that. Cincinnati's also getting the money. 53% of tickets, 83% of the cash on them at -108 or so. Basically a pick 'em price. I mean, if you're going to play Cincinnati, I would limit it to the first 5, although you have to pay a bigger price for it. But I think the biggest edge you'll get with Cincinnati is Singer over Gusto. But how big of an edge is that really? Just because he's better at home, maybe, and he's the legitimate starter? Yeah, I would not try to play the side here. I would play the over. That's what I would do in that game. And I would take it as Singer must start, but no selected starter from Miami. All right. San Diego, Cleveland. This game was way higher scoring than I thought it would be yesterday. I was right about San Diego winning because Cleveland was returning home from the road trip. King, I think, had the better matchup numbers over Gavin Williams, but I still thought it was going to be a good pitching performance, and it was not. Yeah, and neither bullpen is that bad either, but that was a high-scoring game yesterday. Now, Cleveland might be in a bounce-back spot here because they lost in the return home spot yesterday. A lot of times teams will bounce back from that. Cleveland, they're in desperation mode, man. The question you have to kind of figure out is Cleveland starting to pack it in for the season? Because they've been playing bad recently. They've lost whatever this is, 8 of their last 10. That's bad. So maybe they're starting to kind of be in dream crusher mode and realize they're not going to make the playoffs. Or you could argue, but they're not eliminated, right? They're only a few games out of the last wild card spot. I'm pretty sure that's how bad the AL is. So you could argue they're still fighting for it, and they've been losing all these games. I think it is a bounce-back spot. I think Cleveland is probably the way to look in this game, man. As you'll see with the pitching matchup, I like better for Cleveland as well. I don't love the bullpen, though. Cleveland used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, and San Diego is the better bullpen anyway. They used 3. So I would not want to factor in Cleveland's bullpen into this unless I was going against them. San Diego, 7th in bullpen. I think they're probably a little bit better than that. Cleveland is 20th, although I think they're better than that, too. They're the only team ranked in this range with an ERA lower than 4, so I think they're a little bit better than that. Neither offense has been very impressive. San Diego better recently, at least at 23rd. Cleveland's still massively struggling. 28th, tied with Seattle. San Diego looked like they were going to go with Randy Vasquez here, but now they're undecided. So I don't know what they're doing, but if it is Randy Vasquez, I don't trust him, obviously. 4.16 ERA, 1.37 whip is not very good. He's better on the road, kind of, which is strange. 3.54 road ERA. You'd think he'd pitch better in San Diego, a pitcher-friendly park, although Cleveland's ballpark is somewhat pitcher-friendly as well, although I think it kind of has to do with Cleveland not having a good offense and having better pitching than offense. So that's leading to them having a lot of low-scoring games as well. Vasquez, though, for whatever reason, he is a little bit better on the road. He's been not allowing that many runs recently, but I still don't trust him, right? He doesn't strike anybody out. He's gotten his walks kind of down, though. Usually his problem is walks, and that hasn't been the issue recently. But I still don't trust this guy. And the advanced analytics guys definitely will not either. He's still got a high hit rate. He doesn't strike anybody out. Very low strikeout rate. His walk rate is lower than it usually is, but it's still not that good. leading to a pretty bad strikeout walk ratio still, mostly because he's not striking anybody out. His strikeout per 9 is really low. None of that is really good. Cleveland doesn't have much experience against him. Only 3 at-bats. 2 hitters have faced him. The only hit is a single from Adele, who they got at the trade deadline. 1 walk from Hoskins in here. 333 average, 833 OPS. But if it is Vasquez, I would be fine fading him. I don't trust him. Joey Cantillo is listed as the starter for Cleveland. I think he's good. I think he has some talent. He's still young. His issue is he's way too wild. Like, he strikes out guys at a good rate. So he obviously has talent here. It's just that, yeah, he's just all over the place and can't find the zone enough. He's got a 3.91 ERA. 1.48 whip is pretty bad, though. Again, because of the wildness. He is good at home, though. 3.79 home ERA, so he's in the better of his home road splits here. He only went 1 inning last time out against the White Sox. I'm not really sure what happened in that. I think there was a rain delay in that game. It was something weird. I think it was Cantillo against... who was it for the White Sox? I forget. It was Davis Martin, I think, maybe. And I think they both only pitched 1 inning or something. Well, Cantillo was really bad in that 1 inning, but still... I think they both had a shortened start there because of a rain situation. So I don't think there's any injury or anything like that here. But Cantillo, I mean, he's been all right. Again, the problem is the walks are a huge concern. The hits are actually kind of a concern, too. A little bit high there on the hits. The walks are way too high, though, and obviously the biggest concern. But he does strike a lot of guys out. So he's got some talent here, but because of the number of walks, the strikeout walk ratio is not high enough. His strikeouts per 9 look pretty good, basically around 10, which has been the case for his whole career. And he's been good against San Diego. They have 11 at-bats against him. Most of their lineup has faced him, and they have an 0.91 average against him. The only hit is a single from Cronenworth, and they have 2 walks and 2 strikeouts, whatever. 322 OPS. So I think Cantillo does actually match up well here, and I prefer him over whatever the hell San Diego is doing. Although this one, I don't know if I lean Cleveland here, but I don't know if I'd really want to do it, without seeing who San Diego's actually going to play, actually going to start here. Like, if it's going to be Vasquez or like a full bullpen game for San Diego, I would say, Cleveland would be on my list. Like, Cleveland almost made the cut for me as a play. I like Cleveland in this game, but again, you got to worry about their mental state. Are they actually going to continue trying to win? But I think Cantillo is going to be the better starter here against whoever for San Diego. So you could do it and just not pick a starter for San Diego if you want to take the risk. I think the situation is better for Cleveland, but I would only do it in the first 5. Money is coming in on San Diego, which I don't get. 50% of tickets, 87% of the cash on them. San Diego's been hot, dude, and that's the thing. The public is not going to play Cleveland, and Cleveland is favored. So that the odds makers are telling you something. When San Diego's like really, really hot right now and winning every game, including yesterday, and Cleveland is playing really badly right now, why would Cleveland be favored? You know what I mean? The odds makers are telling you Cleveland has the slight edge in this game. They dropped a little bit from minus 120 down, minus 127 down into the minus 118 range here. But yeah, I would play Cleveland in the first 5. It'll be a higher price though, because you know that they're going to be at a disadvantage in the bullpen. I would not want to try to play their bullpen, which is less rested and also not the better bullpen anyway against San Diego. I would only play Cleveland first 5. Moneyline is still probably going to be an okay price on that, probably like minus 130, but that's the way I would play that game. All right. Philadelphia and Minnesota, they were off yesterday because they played the Field of Dreams game the other day, which I don't know why the MLB is continuing doing this, and it's going to be Red Sox Royals next year in the Field of Dreams game. Give me a break, man. It's so fucking stupid. So these teams didn't play yesterday after they played the Field of Dreams on Thursday or whatever. Philadelphia won the game easily, 7-1. Aaron Nola, I think, looking like he's doing what he did last year and actually possibly having a good end to the season, which that'll help Philly going into the playoffs if they're going to have him as the 4th man in their starting rotation. I don't know, man. Minnesota, they think they could still make they can still make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen, but they're still playing like that, and maybe they will show up after that kind of embarrassing loss on Netflix in the Field of Dreams game there. Maybe Minnesota will turn it around here after that loss, but first of all, I would not back Minnesota's bullpen. They're bad. although both these bullpens are rested after yesterday, but I don't like these bullpens. Philadelphia's 18th, Minnesota is 28th. Not good. I would avoid the bullpens. Minnesota has been the better offense. They're 13th. The Phillies are 20th. Phillies have struggled offensively, especially on the road this year. However, you know who's not struggled on the road is Philadelphia's starting pitcher in this game, Jesus Luzardo, who's been very good on the road this year. And he's turned his home stuff around too, so his numbers overall this year are pretty good. 3.32 ERA, 1.14 WHIP. Philly, as you know, Philly, they rely like pretty much entirely on their top three starters. That's how they win games, and Luzardo is one of them. So they have a really good record with one of their top three starters on the mound, which is Wheeler, Luzardo, and Sanchez. They win games with those three guys on the mound, and Luzardo is there today. Luzardo has been really good on the road, 2.01 road ERA. Really good in his last start against Toronto, 12 strikeouts. He's in good form right now after he had kind of a bad start against Miami. He's returned to form with two really good starts after that. One against Washington, so he faced a good offense in here too, not just Toronto. And he was good against the Yankees before that bad start against Miami. I'm not concerned really with Luzardo, other than he does have these kind of weird, unpredictable bad starts. Maybe some of them are predictable, though. Like, I think he had I'm trying to remember. I thought he had a bad one where I predicted it because he had bad matchup numbers. I forget what it was, though. But Luzardo, he's not that easy to hit. His hit rate's fairly low. Walks have been an issue for him, I think, in the past, but he's gotten the walk rate down. It's not bad. Strikeout rate is quite nice. It's high. So that looks pretty good. His strikeout walk ratio is good at 4. So that's, better than it usually is for him. And he's got his strikeouts per 9 up, actually, to 11, which is the highest that he's ever had, except for when he was on the A's back when they were in Oakland, and that was a very small sample size in his first season with them. Luzardo against Minnesota, they haven't really seen much of him. They have 25 at-bats against him. Half of them are from Josh Bell because Bell used to be in this division with Luzardo. He was on Washington. 240 average for Minnesota against him, but a 776 OPS because Bell does have some extra base hits here, including a home run. But other than Bell, not a lot of damage going on here from this offense. 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. So I think Luzardo should pitch well here. Connor Prelip is pitching for Minnesota here. He's had an interesting season. I think he's a rookie this season. He's got a 4.79 ERA, 1.32 WHIP, some mediocre numbers here, but he's been way better at home. 3.86 home ERA, and of course we are at home here. No more Field of Dreams. We're in Minnesota Stadium in this one, if people were unaware of that. That's why they had the day off to travel from the middle of nowhere, cornfields of Iowa, back to Minneapolis for this. Prelip has been way better at home. 206 opponent batting average at home as well. He's pitching a little bit better again recently, though he's not going too deep into some of these outings here. I think they're kind of limiting his pitch count because they don't want to overwork him. But he's at least keeping them in games. He's not pitching that poorly here. He's got a reasonably low hit rate here. His walks are too high, though, so he's a little bit wild. But his strikeout rate is decent. So he does look like he has some strikeout stuff, which is a good sign. His strikeout walk ratio is almost 3, which isn't bad. His strikeouts per 9 is above 9. So that's good. That means he does have talent and he can strike guys out at the major league level. Only Derek Hill has faced him before on Philly. He's 0 for 4 against him with 2 strikeouts. So Prelip might be able to ride the unfamiliarity here. When you have a pitcher that's decent, that's unfamiliar with the opposing offense, that offense a lot of times will struggle to figure him out. And Philly hasn't been that good of an offense on the road, like I said. So I think the way to play this game is the first 5 under. The money seems to not agree with me. What else is new? A lot of disagreement with me in the market today. 67% of tickets on the under, 81% of the cash on the over. The total's right at 8. I don't like the bullpens. Even though they're rested, I can't back the bullpens, especially in Minnesota. But you're going to get a first 5 probably at like 4, 4.5. I think under first 5 makes sense, man. I think both starting pitchers might hold up for the first 5 here. And Luzardo will probably have to be the one that carries most of the weight. And I think he could do that. Even though I said that about Wheeler not long ago, and that blew up in the bottom of the 5th. That should have been a win, that Wheeler one against St. Louis. I don't know what the hell happened to him there. Wheeler's going to have to get fixed, man. I thought it was just that he was sick in one of those prior starts, but something's going on with Wheeler where he's not pitching well right now. So Philly's going to have to figure that out if they're going to make a run in the playoffs here. Because if they have these 3 starting pitchers here and you go with a 4-man rotation in the playoffs, Philly's going to be hard to get out of there in the playoffs, even though their offense isn't good, their bullpen isn't good. But those 3 starters can carry you quite a bit. Even though I don't even think Philly's that good. I think they're overrated because their run differential is still not good. Philly, by the way, is a public side here. 91% of the tickets and only 82% of the cash. So the money's coming in against them. They're like minus 140, down from minus 155. So it looks like real money is coming against Minnesota here. If you're going to play Minnesota at all, I would only play them in the first 5. And that would only be just, you're kind of going in line with that under that I just talked about, where you're just saying, well, we think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and hopefully it stays close through the first 5, but there's no way that I would back Minnesota's bullpen. I don't want to back Minnesota at all. So, yeah, even though it might be a bounce back for them, whatever. But, yeah, I'm not going to be fading Luzardo in that game, but I think under first 5 makes the most sense. Correct. Yeah. The Field of Dreams, it's a money-making thing. It's bullshit. Yeah, but the teams complained about it. That's why they haven't done it recently. Like, they did it twice in the past, but I think they haven't done it for like a few years now. And it was because teams didn't like it, because they have to go to the middle of nowhere, and then there's like no crowd there for it and whatever. It's stupid. It's very, very weird, and yeah, I don't think they should continue doing it. What game is next here? Seattle, Houston. Yeah, things are not going well for Seattle, man. I thought they had a pretty good chance to win yesterday, even though Houston had the rest advantage yesterday, but Houston was returning home from the road. So I thought Seattle had a decent shot, and they did. It went into extra innings, but Seattle lost again. Houston winning the AL West right now. Seattle, big problems here for Seattle. They're 6 games back. There's still a chance at a wild card spot, depending on how everything shakes out, but seems like the wild cards, it looks like it's going to be Yankees, Red Sox. It better be the Red Sox at this point. And then the last wild card spot right now, to me, it looks like it's going to the White Sox or Detroit, whichever one of those teams doesn't win that division. So if you're in the AL West, you got to win your division, man. I do think Texas is probably fucked. If deGrom is missing any serious time here, I think Texas is done. I don't think Seattle is, but I don't know what the hell is going on with their offense. They need to fix something here. Now, Seattle should be showing up for these games because they're behind Houston here. They should be the more motivated team in desperation mode here. Seattle used 4 relief pitchers in that game yesterday, but extra inning game, a lot of bullpen arms came in for both sides. Houston used 5. Houston's ranked higher in the bullpen than Seattle is. They're ranked, where are they? 10th. Seattle's 16th, but I think it's pretty close between the two bullpens. I think you can make the argument Seattle's is better. You can't make the argument Seattle's offense is better. Houston is ranked 7th, tied with the Braves. Seattle 28th, tied with Cleveland. Yeah, things are not going well, though some of that you can blame the stadium, but you can only blame their stadium to such a, you can only blame their stadium to a certain extent, and they're playing in Houston here, so you can't use that as an excuse here. Emerson Hancock is pitching for Seattle, and I think you can make the argument he's the better of the 2 starters here. He's the more established starter at this point. He's had a good season, 3.35 ERA, 1.12 whip. He's not as good on the road, but I mean, that's kind of expected with Seattle's pitchers. Their home ballpark is very pitcher-friendly. 3.63 road ERA, still not bad. Wasn't good last time out against Tampa Bay, though. He allowed way too many hits. He's been a bit too hittable recently, and his team has not been winning his games. They've lost 4 in a row, although some of that's not his fault entirely. Some of that has to do with the fact that the hitting behind him is non-existent, basically, so it's not all his fault here. He's got a pretty low hit rate here, pretty low walk rate as well. Strikeout rate is decent. So his overall numbers look good. Strikeout walk ratio is not bad here. It's the best that it's been in his career so far, close to 4. Strikeouts per 9, also the best that he's posted so far in the 8s. That's not bad. Numbers against Houston, I don't know. They're a little bit on the bad side. In 41 at-bats, 293 average is high. 740 OPS isn't too high. They haven't hit him for that much power, but I still don't know if I trust Hancock here entirely. 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think generally, I think that he should pitch okay here, though. I remember a lot of those numbers came in the past when he wasn't as good as he is now, so you get a better version of Hancock here. So I think he might do all right. Hayden Wesneski is pitching for Houston. He's had like an injury-plagued career, I think, man. He's been a relief pitcher a lot of the time. He's had okay numbers throughout his career, though. I still don't really know what he is, to be honest, but he's been pretty good at home this year. 3 ERA at home. Overall, pretty good numbers here. 3.86 ERA, 1.18 whip, but he's only made 3 starts so far. However, Houston's won all of them, or 3 appearances. I think one of them was a bullpen. Oh, no. They were all starts. Yeah, so they were all starts. Houston won every single one of them. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of them. He's gone at least 5 2/3 innings in all of them, but he faced Anaheim, Toronto, and San Francisco. Those are bad offenses. However, guess who else is a bad offense? Oh, yeah, that would be Seattle, who he's pitching against today. So I think he might be able to handle Seattle as well. His hit rate is decent enough. It's below 1 per inning. He doesn't really walk many guys. Doesn't strike guys out, though. So that's, I guess, kind of the concern with him. The strikeout rate is kind of low. It's been higher than that for him in the past, though. So based on this small sample size, I think you could actually look at his numbers like last year and whatever and kind of gauge more from that, where his strikeout rate was better than that. So I think he's actually a little bit better than his underlying numbers actually show right now. And he's been good against Seattle. They have 29 at-bats against him, 241 average, 646 OPS. That's not bad. So I actually think first 5 under in this game, maybe. Yeah, I think that's probably the way I would go. I mean, normally I would say full game under because the bullpens are not that bad, but they had an extra inning game yesterday. The bullpens are kind of burned out, so I don't want to factor in the bullpens into that. Totals at 8.5, but I think both starters might do well. Again, the market doesn't agree. 73% of the tickets on the under, 73% of the cash on the over. You're probably going to look at least a 4.5, though, in the first 5, and I think both starters might be able to pitch well here, so that is what I would lean towards is the first 5 under. 80% of tickets, 91% of the cash on Houston, although they dropped from minus 129 down into the minus 116 range or so. Wesneski has the better matchup numbers here. It's a tough read, man. It really is. I think Seattle's going to be, like I said, the more desperate team. You could argue maybe they have the better bullpen here. You can make the argument Hancock is better than Wesneski here with the way he's been pitching this season and he's more established this season. I'd slightly lean Seattle as an underdog for that reason, but I think that the way better play is some sort of under here, a first 5 under, but I'm not going to do it. I do have one more play in here, which is another one that the market doesn't like. I'll be right back. I'll take a quick break here. POTP, man, you're really not in the podcast arena, right? POTP is part of the problem with Dave Smith and Robbie the Fire Bernstein, one of the best political podcasts that's out there. Although I admittedly have not watched it in quite a while. I used to watch it very regularly for years, but I just don't watch podcasts regularly anymore. So it's nothing personal against part of the problem or whatever. I love Dave and Robbie, but yeah. So I'm definitely going to support it. Robbie actually gave me the hat. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but one of the times I saw, one of the 8 or 9 times I've seen them do comedy live, Robbie gave me the hat. I talked to him a little bit after the show. I'll be right back. Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on, the slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. Well, yeah, you should, I would recommend watching it, even though I've kind of stopped doing it, but that was like the go-to podcast for, political news, sort of, I would say, for me. Plus, there's a mix of comedy in there because they're both comics, obviously. So, all right, we'll talk about these 3 Fox games here that are all simultaneously on Fox. Guess which one of these is going to get the most eyes on it? Between Arizona, Atlanta, Boston, Pittsburgh, and Milwaukee and LA. Yeah, I wonder which one of these people are going to actually watch. Maybe it's the one between the top 2 teams in the National League. It might be that one. I don't know. Arizona and Atlanta. Atlanta lost 2-0 yesterday, so they might be in kind of a bounce back spot here. A lot of times you want to back a team that just got shut out at home in their next game because a lot of times they'll come out with more intensity. That was Brandon Pfaadt, man, still pitching really well since coming back from the minors. I guess was able to somehow outduel Chris Sale in that game. Atlanta used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. They're the better bullpen here. Arizona used 2. Atlanta's ranked 3rd, which I think is accurate for them. Arizona's ranked 5th, which I don't think is accurate. I think that's overrating them. I don't think they're that good. Braves have the better bullpen here. Braves have the better offense as well. They're ranked 7th, tied with Houston. Arizona's been better, though, since the All-Star break, really. They've actually been one of the better offenses. They moved all the way up to 18th, so... yeah, I mean, I would say they're at least a mediocre offense, but Atlanta's is probably still better. Arizona's going with Eduardo Rodriguez here, who's continuing to defy the advanced analytics for the most part, and he's had a good season. 2.7 ERA, 1.23 whip, though, does indicate his ERA should probably be a little bit higher than that. He's been pretty good on the road, 2.49 road ERA, so he's been not really significantly worse home or away here. He was good against the Dodgers last time out, really good, actually, after he had kind of a bad start against San Diego. Go figure. He pitched bad against a bad offense in San Diego and then pitched way better against an elite offense, the Dodgers. Okay, and he pitched really well against another good offense prior to that, Pittsburgh. So, yeah, go figure. But he's been mostly good. He's got a pretty low hit rate here. His walk rate's not too bad. Strikeout rate is low, though, and that's why the advanced analytics guys don't like him. That's basically nuked his strikeout walk ratio. It's pretty bad. It's 2.1. That's not good. So that does kind of indicate there should be some regression here, but it hasn't really happened. His strikeout per 9 rate is way down in the 6s here, and it's been in the 8s for the past few years. I don't know. When he was really good, it was higher than that, but of course he's gone through some injuries and surgeries. He's getting a little bit older. He's still... he's the way that he's pitched, though, as far as what the results, I would say, I guess. Results-wise, this has been one of his better seasons, though. So go figure. Numbers against Atlanta are also not bad. In 56 at-bats, 250 average, 669 OPS, 17-5 strikeout walk ratio. None of those numbers are bad. You might have to worry about his pitch count because he did throw 115 pitches in that game against the Dodgers. So Arizona's just letting him go. They're unleashing him, and that was the most pitches he's thrown this year. Maybe that's a concern, but he's also a veteran, so he's kind of used to having some high pitch counts here, so I don't know if that's really going to kill him here. I think I lean more towards him pitching well. Grant Holmes is pitching for the Braves, and I think he is the lesser of these 2 pitchers here. He's kind of hard to figure out. 3.47 ERA, 1.32 whip. That whip indicates his ERA should be higher than it is. He's been a little bit worse at home, believe it or not, even though he was better at home last year. 3.84 home ERA. And his opponent batting average is also worse at home. Braves have been really good with him pitching recently, though. They've won his last 7 starts. He hasn't allowed a run this month against Miami and the Yankees here, going 12 shutout innings. Not really striking many guys out here, though. But, yeah, he's been decent, but prior to this month, he was kind of going with some shorter outings and keeping his team in the games. They were definitely winning the games. So he wasn't killing them. His hit rate is okay. His walk rate is too high. His strikeout rate is not that good. So the advanced analytics guys won't like him either. The strikeout walk ratio is not that good. It's at 2. Strikeout per 9 is also at the lowest that it's been throughout his career, in the 7s. So that's not exactly great. His numbers against Arizona are good, though. In 45 at-bats, 133 average, 433 OPS. The only bad number here is the strikeout-walk ratio, really just the walk number. 10-9 strikeout-walk ratio. Yeah, I mean, to me, it still looks like probably an under, even though you got 2 pitchers that the advanced analytics guys are just saying they're not as good as their numbers look, and I agree with that, but they're still pitching well. Their matchup numbers look good enough here. The bullpens are okay enough. I think this game is an under. 71% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the under. The total is high at 9, but it does look like the money agrees with me. But with a high total like that, the odds makers are kind of telling you that they think the starting pitching won't actually be that good. So that throws me off a little bit that the total's that high, but I think it's an under. 74% of tickets, 93% of the cash on Atlanta. Maybe. I mean, they're at minus 130 something. They initially dropped from minus 150. I mean, it could be a bounce back for Atlanta here, but I think Erod is a little bit better than Holmes. Still, though Holmes has the somewhat better matchup numbers here. But just as a whole, Erod, I think, is the better of the 2 pitchers here. So I don't know. If you're going to go Atlanta, I would go full game with it because I think they do have the bullpen advantage. But I don't know. I would kind of lean Arizona first 5, but I think the under is the way better opinion for me on that game. Boston and Pittsburgh, and what the fuck are... Dude, the Red Sox, this team sucks. Like, outside of Peyton Tolley, you cannot trust any Red Sox starting pitcher. I'm telling you that right now. Peyton Tolley is their only trustworthy pitcher. Yeah, that's just the way that it is. Sonny Gray, he's looked good this year, sure. I don't trust him. I'm sorry. He's older. In a lot of cases, he's too hittable. I don't know what to tell you, man. This Red Sox pitching staff, it's looking like a disaster. Bennett wasn't good again yesterday. This team is fucked. Bennett doesn't strike enough guys out. The Red Sox offense is, again, not doing well. The bullpen is starting to totally implode. This is bad. Really fucking bad. This Red Sox team is ass. I don't care that they just had like an amazing month or whatever. They've followed that up with an absolutely disastrous week plus. So they're basically erasing everything that they did. They also have Whitlock is on the DL, so that doesn't help with their bullpen here. And it's an elbow issue, which is like the worst thing that you could have, a throwing elbow, I think. So this Gamboa guy is up right now. Yeah, fuck that. This is bad. Really, really bad. Red Sox used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. They're still the better bullpen against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh did use 5 relief pitchers yesterday, so the Red Sox should have the bullpen edge. They're still the number 1 bullpen in both ERA and WHIP. Pittsburgh is nowhere near that good at, where are they at? 23rd. Hitting-wise, yeah, Pittsburgh is the better offense. They're 4th. The Red Sox have been better recently in that department, at least 14th. But that was mostly during their hot stretch. They started hitting better. Very recently, they've been bad again offensively. But yeah, Pittsburgh is the better offense, especially at home. Sonny Gray is pitching for the Red Sox. He should be able to get them a win here. I mean, I think he is the better of the 2 pitchers here. 2.79 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. He's been a little bit worse on the road, though. 3.13 road ERA, and this is not an offense that's to be trifled with. You know, this is a good offense he's going up against here. Gray has been good recently, though. He had a couple of bad starts in here. He righted the ship, and his last 2 starts were both good. Against the White Sox, but then against Toronto. I mean, they suck, although Toronto actually was able to get to him in the previous start in 1 bad inning. He has a low hit rate on the season, low enough. He doesn't really walk anybody. Strikeout rate is okay. So looking at his overall numbers, yeah, I mean, his strikeout walk ratio, it's gone down from what he was doing with St. Louis, but it is kind of in the range that it's been for most of his career. As far as the strikeout per 9, it is way down, though. So his strikeouts per 9 have been way better in the past. So that isn't a great sign to me. He is good against Pittsburgh generally, though, even though they've seen some of him because he was on St. Louis not that long ago. 73 at-bats, 205 average allowed, 661 OPS, 23-3 strikeout walk ratio. So he's been pretty good against Pittsburgh for the most part. He should have the upper hand here, man. And the Red Sox are still fighting for a wild card spot. Pittsburgh might be done. Like, I think you could, I guess, argue they're still kind of fighting for a wild card spot. But this Pittsburgh team, after that recent run they went on where they were not playing well, they might kind of be a dead team, man. I don't know. Pittsburgh is going with Jared Jones, and I like Jones. I think he's got the higher ceiling probably out of these two pitchers here. He's way younger. He's like 10 years younger than Sonny Gray, more than that. He's got a 5.03 ERA here, which doesn't look that good, but his 1.2 whip is not that bad. So I think he's better than his numbers look. However, 5.82 home ERA, so he's had some issues at home, although his opponent batting average at home is way better at 206. So, like, how do you even figure out a guy that has stats like this? I mean, I think Jones is good. He missed all of last year, and his first season in the majors in 2024 was pretty good. He had a good strikeout rate, whatever, and he still does this year. So coming back from injury, he's still able to strike guys out. His walk rate is okay. His hit rate is okay. So, yeah, his overall numbers definitely not bad. Strikeout walk ratio is exactly the same, actually, as it was in 2024 right now. And his strikeouts per 9 is also almost exactly the same. So that's consistency. Red Sox haven't really seen him. They have two guys who have faced him. 250 average, 650 OPS, 1-1 strikeout walk ratio. So the Red Sox are not familiar with Jones. However, Jones has been bad recently. That's the one thing that's a negative for him here. His recent form, not good. He got absolutely wrecked by the Mets in his last start, which is not a good sign because the Mets are not a good team, not a good offense. Milwaukee kind of beat him up the game before that. That's more understandable because they're a good offense. Mets are not. So Jones is not in good form right now. So Sonny Gray is in better form. I think both pitchers are pretty good overall, though, and they both look like they match up okay here. So I do think this is kind of an under type of game here. The money is kind of coming in towards the over, though. The total's 7.5, so the odds makers have put that number out there, telling you they think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think if I was going to go under, I could only do it in the first 5 because I don't want to deal with Pittsburgh's bullpen. 66% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the over. I would lean first 5 under. I'd probably slightly lean Red Sox. 86% of tickets, 94% of the cash on them. They're favored at about -120. I mean, the Red Sox have cooled off, so maybe the public sentiment is a little bit cooler on the Red Sox now, though Pittsburgh hasn't been that good recently either. But the public does like offense, and that is Pittsburgh here. However, they're probably going to like Gray over Jones. Like, his ERA is way better, and that's misleading. Like, Gray is not that much better than Jones. You know what I mean? So the ERAs are misleading there, but Gray is obviously the more established pitcher. He's had a much longer career. Maybe he can get it done here again. I don't know, man. It's bad. Things are not going well for the Red Sox. Tolle, he looks like Reed Coverdale, which I just told Reed that the other day, actually. I was texting with Reed. It was very, very gay. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, the next game is my last play that I have here. I'm keeping it selective, and I'm going with the starting pitching matchups that I like the most here, that I think are somewhat mismatches here. And I think the bullpens have the advantage in both of my plays as well, which is why I'm going full game on them. But the market doesn't agree with either of them. We're going to take the Brewers -123 here against LA, the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers are an underdog here, and the professionals might say, well, whenever you get the Dodgers as an underdog, you should do it because they're like the best team in baseball, and you basically never get them as an underdog. But look at the starting pitching matchup here. There's a reason why they're an underdog here. They're facing the best pitcher in baseball. They're going with a pitcher who I think is pretty overrated. So, yeah, that's what we got going on here. Milwaukee, by the way, if you didn't know, they did lose yesterday to the Dodgers. The Dodgers won 3-1 behind Yamamoto, but Yamamoto is not pitching in this game. And before that, Milwaukee did win the first game of the series. Milwaukee, I think, had won 6 games in a row in LA or something like that before yesterday. So Milwaukee has won most of their recent games in LA, believe it or not. So they do well in LA, and I think they're going to do it here too. I like their bullpen better. The Dodgers bullpen has been struggling a bit. Milwaukee only used 2 guys yesterday out of the bullpen because it was in a loss, whereas the Dodgers had to bring out their better relief pitchers to finish the game off in a save situation. They used 3 guys yesterday. Brewers are the 8th ranked bullpen, but again, I think they're like a top 5 bullpen probably. They're good, and their rest scenario is a little bit better here as well. Dodgers are ranked 12th, but their ERA is 4, which is pretty mediocre. So I think we get the better bullpen here. Dodgers do have the better offense, obviously. They're tied in first with Washington. They're not quite as good at home, but their offense is probably not going to be at an elite level against Jacob Mizejewski, okay? Milwaukee is number 9 offensively, so they could definitely compete offensively. But also, obviously, we're backing Mizejewski, the best pitcher in baseball. He's been elite, 1.76 ERA, 0.74 whip, and I think we won't need him to be totally elite in this game to get this thing to come home, man. We need some runs from Milwaukee, but Mizejewski just needs to be good enough to do it, and for the most part, he has been. His strikeout-walk ratio is insanely high. His strikeout per 9 is insanely high. You know, we know, like, he strikes out a ton of guys. He doesn't seem to be faltering in that department, really, and they're kind of limiting his pitches, too, which is interesting, so they're trying to not overwork him. He's at 133 innings, so he's still not at that, like, 150, where I kind of look at, like, the cutoff, especially for guys that are total flamethrowers like him, but he doesn't seem to be slowing down. He's still striking out a ton of guys, so it looks like he's still pitching really well here. He's basically unhittable. His hit rate is one of the lowest in baseball. His walk rate is good enough. His strikeout rate is very high, so we know all that. And against LA, he's been good. 33 at-bats against them. He's held them to a 152 average, 495 OPS, 14-3 strikeout walk ratio. So, yeah, we could definitely back this. He's been able to hold down the best offense in baseball. Meanwhile, Justin Wróblewski, who has been a guy the advanced analytics guys hate, and they've been saying he's going to fall off a cliff, and I think that is starting to happen. Even though he's had a good season, but his ERA's gone up to 3.44. His whip has gone up to 1.11. I realize that's not bad, and he is good at home, 2.91 home ERA, 181 opponent batting average. That's all good. Recently, not good. His last 3 starts have all been bad. And the first one was at home against Seattle, who's not a good offense. Then he went into the Cubs and Arizona. He got obliterated in those 2 starts. He's in really bad form. He walked 3 guys apiece in those. He's allowed 9 home runs over that stretch as well in whatever this is, 13 and 2/3 innings, I think is what that is. Yeah, he's not pitching well right now, so he's completely fallen off, and maybe pitching in the All-Star game threw him off. He had 1 good start after that against Philly, and since then he's been bad in every start. He does have a low hit rate. He does have a low walk rate. He doesn't really strike guys out, so the advanced analytics guys come in and they poke at that, although his walk rate is so low that his strikeout walk ratio is actually good, so I don't consider him to be a bad pitcher, but he's in very bad form right now. His strikeout walk ratio is not really that good. So, again, the advanced analytics guys will point at that. But what I'm looking at is bad form plus Milwaukee has handled them. In 26 at-bats, Milwaukee has a 346 average against them, 1,029 OPS, 4-3 strikeout walk ratio. So he does not have good matchup numbers. So let's do it. You know, you could argue, well, you're going to get one of the cheapest prices you'll ever get on the Dodgers, and the money is coming in that way, which I don't like. 55% of the tickets on Milwaukee, 76% of the cash on the Dodgers. Price has been driven down from minus 143 down into the minus 120s on Milwaukee. But on the other hand, couldn't you also argue this is one of the cheapest prices you'll get on Jacob Mizejewski? Like, and doesn't that matter more? Like, yeah, you're getting this Dodgers team at one of the cheapest prices you'll get them at, but why is that the case, right? Like, I think it matters more that you're getting the best starter in baseball at one of the cheapest prices you'll be able to get him. So I say let's do that. And again, Milwaukee has had the upper hand against the Dodgers in LA recently by quite a bit. Wróblewski's not as good as his numbers look. The money's also coming in the under in this game. The total's 7.5. I understand it. I mean, both pitchers have had a good season. It probably does look like more of an under than an over, I'll tell you that. Like, both pitchers have been all right, and, I mean, Mizejewski obviously is completely elite, but Wróblewski's been all right, and then, or for the most part, good, I would say. And then the bullpens are, Milwaukee's is good, LA's is all right. So that's what I will say. So I think you have good / elite pitching across the board from Milwaukee, and you have okay pitching maybe from the Dodgers here. That's how I see it. Maybe that translates to an under. But, yeah, what I'm saying is Milwaukee is the play in that game. That's the side there. Brewers have him under contract. Fuck the Dodgers. The Dodgers, even the Dodgers, I don't think would have enough money to do that. Although the Dodgers already currently, if you look at, I forget what stat it was. I don't know if it was pitchers like wins over replacement or so. I forget exactly what it was. It was some stat for starting pitchers. Over the last 3 years, the starting pitchers that are the top 5 in that stat, 4 of them are on the Dodgers. It's completely ridiculous. One of them is Skubal, obviously, but it's Skubal, Yamamoto, Snell, and who was the other one then? Was it Glasnow? I don't know, because Snell and Glasnow are both basically hurt, but they'll probably be there for the playoffs, just like last year. Was it Glasnow or was it who else do they have? I forget. They must have somebody. Oh, no, it was Ohtani. It was Ohtani. Yeah, but Ohtani hasn't really been pitching that much recently. But yeah, Ohtani was one of them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, how could we forget about him? Yeah, totally ridiculous. All right, Kansas City and Anaheim. This is ugly, man. Although when I first looked at this, I'm like, Anaheim definitely has the better starter here. Like Detmers over Dobnak. Like, I don't care what Dobnak has looked like so far. Detmers is the guy that has the way better stuff here. So that looks like Anaheim is worth a look here, but you have to pay a price for it. Anaheim did lose yesterday, and it was in the full game and not in the first 5, which I'm still pissed about because that should have been a win for us with Royals' first 5. They're up 3 runs in the middle of the 3rd inning, and they blew the whole thing. Wound up with a push on that one at least, but it would have been a win if we played full game, but who's going to do that with the Royals bullpen? No. Anyway, Anaheim could, I guess, be in kind of a bounce-back mode after that. Neither team is going anywhere, so, like, how much motivation do you get out of these two teams here? Well, I don't like the bullpens, so I would avoid the bullpens here. Kansas City used 5 guys as well. They're not good. I'm not allowed to say 5 anymore. Jaden Daniels will come sue this show. Anaheim used 4. I would avoid both bullpens. They both suck. Anaheim 22nd. Kansas City dead last, 30th. However, I think the A's are worse, but whatever. Offensively, neither team is that good. Kansas City is the better of the two, but they're 22nd, and Anaheim is 27th, and Anaheim is not good at home either. So maybe Dobnak will pitch well again here. He's been better than expected, at least for Kansas City. He's got a 2 ERA, but it is misleading. And I think his ERA was 0 pretty recently, but it's misleading. His whip is 1.33. More damning is that his strikeout walk ratio is 19-14. That is not good. He doesn't really strike anybody out. This guy's been kind of a journeyman pitcher. He was, well, not really that because he was mostly just on Minnesota, but he's like barely pitched in Major League Baseball. He's been kind of a guy that's been in and out of the league, hasn't really stuck in the league. He's in his 30s. He's not good. And his last start was pretty bad against the Cubs. So he's starting to not pitch well. I'm not even sure he was pitching well anyway before that, although he had a couple of good starts in there that were actually good, but I don't think he's that good. His hit rate is okay, but his walk rate's kind of high. He doesn't really strike anybody out. He's not trustworthy, although Anaheim hasn't really seen him, and they're not a good offense. Mike Trout has the only hit against him, a single. He and Frazier combined for a 1-for-4 off him with no strikeouts, no walks. Not much to take away from that, but I still don't think he's good. So I think that the edge still just goes to Anaheim here with Reed Detmers on the mound. You know, I like him. I think he is good. I think he's better than his 4 ERA makes him look. 1.1 whip is not bad. He's a guy that has good strikeout stuff. He's been good at home. 3.86 home ERA. He's been pitching fairly well recently, although he walked too many guys last time out against Texas and didn't make it that deep into the start against Baltimore before that, but his command numbers have mostly been pretty on point here. So I think he's getting a little bit unlucky. He's not allowing that many hits. He's got a low hit rate. His walk rate is not too bad, and his strikeout rate is quite high. So these numbers look pretty good. Strikeout walk ratio, not too bad. In the high 3s, that's not bad. Strikeouts per 9, pretty good. It's been pretty good throughout his career. So, yeah, I think Detmers still is like an under-the-radar pitcher. Numbers against Kansas City are, I would say, more good than bad. In 40 at-bats, 10 strikeouts, 3 walks, 225 average, 729 OPS. That's not bad. I think the way to play this game is Anaheim in the first 5. And, again, the market doesn't agree. 68% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on them. So the money's coming in against them. They drop from minus 157 down to minus 140 something. I think if you're going to play them in the first 5, you're going to have to lay the half run with them, though. I think they could get it done. Like, Detmer should be able to outpitch Dobnak. I mean, I think this is a pretty big mismatch for Anaheim. I wouldn't want to deal with the bullpens, even though you could argue Anaheim's is the better bullpen. And I think you'd be right in saying that, but I can't trust either bullpen here. So Anaheim first 5 would be the way I would play it. I think it is a big mismatch. Detmer's over Dobnak. You have to lay the half run. It is worrisome a little bit because Anaheim can't fucking hit. So we'll see. But that is the way I would play that game. And then we have Texas and the A's, the later game, slightly like 2 minutes later than the other game. ESPN Unlimited. A's won yesterday 8-3. Texas, I don't know what's going on with Texas here. A's had a rest advantage yesterday, so I did say that. And it looks like Gage Jump might have pitched okay in that game yesterday. The A's used 4 relief pitchers. I would not trust their bullpen. However, I don't think Texas's is very trustworthy at this point. They used 4 guys as well. Texas is the better bullpen, but I don't like either bullpen at this point. Texas is 19th, but their ERA is like in the mid-4s. Long way away from how good they were last year out of the bullpen. The A's are 29th, though, and like I said, I think they're the absolute worst bullpen. So Texas is still the better bullpen, but I don't like either of them. The A's are 16th in offense. Texas is 20th, tied with the Phillies. Neither offense really that good at this point. The A's have dealt with a lot of injuries, though, and I think their offense is better than Texas. But we are looking at a hitter-friendly park here, and maybe the hits will come in this one. Mackenzie Gore is pitching for Texas, and I think he's not a bad pitcher, but this might not be the greatest matchup for him here, or stadium for him. 4.43 ERA, 1.24 whip. Not horrible, mediocre stuff, but he's not good on the road. 5.48 road ERA, so he has some issues on the road. He pitches better in Texas's pitcher-friendly stadium. He's got some walk issues for the most part. Texas has won a lot of his games recently, though. They won 5 of his 6 starts, 5 of his last 6 starts. He doesn't allow that many hits. He's a good strikeout pitcher, but he allows a decent amount of home runs. He's kind of a fly ball pitcher. Well, more than kind of. He is a fly ball pitcher, so that doesn't play well probably in the A's stadium. So he's probably too home run conducive to trust him really in this stadium. The walks are the main concern with him, though. Looking at his other stuff here, strikeout walk ratio is right at 3. That's because he strikes out enough guys that is the case. Strikeout per 9, pretty high number there. I don't know why I'm hearing stuff outside right now. Hold on. Because I got to check my cameras here. What is going on here, man? I don't think I see anything outside, but I don't know. What is going on here? I apologize. I don't know. It sounded, maybe it was just a loud vehicle or something. I don't know. Too close to the street, Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see anything. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. All right. What was I talking about? Mackenzie Gore. Oh, yeah. I shouldn't have closed that. All right. Gore, against the A's, though, not good numbers here. In 41 at bats, 10-7 strikeout walk ratio, 390 batting average, 918 OPS. These are bad numbers here from Gore against the A's. So, I think the Gore doesn't set up that well in this game, to be honest. He's bad on the road. He's kind of he is definitely a fly ball pitcher, and he has bad numbers against the A's. What do you mean? I mean, you're not going to be able to hear what's outside because this mic is pretty directional here. Unless you mean, if you can't hear the show, that's not on me. I can see my mic working, so I don't know what the fuck. Somebody else, if you're in the chat, you can tell me if you can hear the audio on this. Or I guess I could check real quick, unless you're talking about not hearing anything outside, which only I'm going to hear that. Hold on, let me see. Oh my fucking God, dude. Oh, you mean the outside noise? All right, good. Anyway. Okay. What else was I looking at here? Oh, right. JT Ginn is pitching for the A's. Dude, this is just... I got to find a way to get baseball done faster. This is just so bad. And I'm talking about NFL preseason here. This is awful. JT Ginn, he's been all right this year. 3.41 ERA, 1.21 whip. He's not actually as good at home, even though he has a 3.31 home ERA, 240 opponent batting average is worse than it is on the road, but he's still not bad at home, and that's because he's not a fly ball pitcher. He induces a decent amount of ground balls. He has a pretty low hit rate. His walks are a huge problem, though. He does walk a lot. Guys, I'm hearing more shit outside right now. Like, can we just stop with this? Like, I don't know, man. It might be like somebody blasting their car radio. I'm not even really sure. Ginn doesn't really strike that many guys out, but his strikeout rate is okay. Strikeout walk ratio not good this year, though it's gone down this year because his walk rate's been too bad. Even though his whip is better, so he's become less hittable, but he's kind of sacrificing it with some wildness here. Strikeouts per 9, like I said, they're all right. But he pitches okay here at home. His numbers against the Rangers are mediocre in 49 at-bats, 265 average, 797 OPS is a little bit high, so I don't like that. 7-3 strikeout walk ratio. You know, I think the A's first 5 might be the way to look in this game again here, though. Like, I don't think Gore sets up that well. It looks like the money agrees with that one. Go figure. 68% of the tickets on Texas, 70% of the cash on the A's. Obviously, I would not back the A's bullpen, but I think you might be able to get there with the first 5 with Ginn sneakily over Gore here. Gore, I think, is the more talented pitcher, though, but I don't think the matchup is good for him. So I would lean that way. You'll get them as an underdog. Texas is minus 140 in the full game. Everybody kind of knows Texas is trying to make the playoffs, so you're going to have to pay more of a price for Texas for that reason. So I think that's part of the reason why the money's coming in on the A's. Total's at 9.5. The money's coming in on the under. I'm not sure about that. I kind of lean over here. I don't like either bullpen. Gore doesn't have the good matchup numbers, isn't good on the road. Ginn has some issues as well, and his matchup numbers aren't exactly great. So I think there's more. There are more indicators towards an over than an under in that one, although I think maybe A's first 5 maybe the better way to play that, but over, I think, is another option in that one. All right, and I've already given out my plays here, but let's go to WNBA. I'm not going to get into the WNBA today. I don't like these games. There's an afternoon game, New York at Connecticut. The East Coast rivals here or whatever. Connecticut, I mean, I think they're moving to Boston or something. I don't know. This has been a bad season for them. They just got absolutely smoked by Atlanta in their last game. But they're staying at home, and when a team gets blown out that embarrassingly, a lot of times they will show up and play better in the next game. So I expect a better effort, at least out of Connecticut here. New York is obviously the way better team, but New York might overlook them just because Connecticut is a terrible team. So I don't think New York is really going to have that much focus here, although they're coming off a game where they didn't win by much against L.A., where I forget what the game flow looked like here. Yeah, actually, this is a huge comeback for LA, which is, I'm going to talk about that because in a little while as well, because LA is also playing today. But LA was losing this game by a ton, dude. They were losing this game by almost 30, by 27 in the fourth quarter, by the way. And they came all the way back and cut it to 1. That's insane. So the Liberty got a little bit of a scare there. So the Liberty might still be focused for that reason. But I think it's going to affect LA more. So I will talk about that aspect of it. I don't have a good read on this particular game at all. You're probably not going to get any value laying the points with New York here. Money looks like it is kind of on that side, though. 85% of the tickets, 92% of the cash, laying the 8.5. I don't know. I mean, the total's in the low 170s, kind of a mid-range total there. The money hitting the under. It could be one of those get-in, get-out games for New York, even though, because I think they have a bigger game next, actually. Do they? They must. I mean, there's nothing that wouldn't be bigger than a game against Connecticut, probably. Who are they playing next? Chicago, actually. It's not a big game. I thought it was Indiana, but that's after that. Yeah, I don't really see a great... I don't have anything on this game, really. Maybe you could slightly lean towards taking the points with Connecticut, but I don't know. I mean, just because they're coming off that embarrassing loss, that might be the way to go with it. I have no idea. Not a good game. Yeah, the WNBA, they have not made a decision on what a woman is, even though they're the women's basketball league. They have not been able to determine what qualifies you to even be in their league. Like, literally, the one thing that determines what their entire league is, they can't decide what that is. It is just a fucking joke. It is so fucking... This league is a fucking joke. It should just be disbanded. But if we can make money off of it, that's what we're going to try to do. And of course, they're trying to come up with a definition that's a fundamental definition in not only the world of English, or really in any language, but in human history and biology. It's like one of the most objective definitions out there of any word. What is a woman? It's so obvious. Somebody with female sex chromosomes. That's what it is. That's easy. It's completely ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. Like oh man. I mean, the way that they're handling this, it is such a mockery. All right. Not a Colin mockery, who, by the way, I think has like trans kids or something. So even the funny guys from Whose Line Is It Anyway can't be cool. He's Canadian, so yeah, that probably should have indicated something anyway. Washington is probably not really in the greatest spot here because they're coming off 2 big games in Vegas where they played fairly well against Vegas both times, and they failed to cover for us on Thursday by a half point in a game where they played well enough to cover that, and they didn't do it. Now they're returning home. It wasn't a long road trip. They were in Vegas for 2 games. That was the whole road trip. But they're coming back home all the way across the country, which is not that good, so I don't think it's a great spot for them. Will they overlook LA? I mean, maybe. LA is not a good team, but they don't have a big game up next. It's only against Toronto. And you know I can't play LA because you saw what they just did. They're already on the East Coast, so that will help them. So the travel spot is better for LA. They're already adjusted to the time zone, but it's not one of those going west where you have to adjust to the later time zone. Adjusting to an earlier time zone is easier, but LA is already out there. They just played the Liberty. The problem is you saw what I just showed you. They had a monster comeback in that game. They erased like a 27-point deficit all in the fourth quarter and almost won the game and almost pulled off what would have been like an 8 or 9 point upset. Yeah, I don't think LA is going to have that much in the tank after that, so there's no way that I could play LA here either. And I think that is the way the professional money is coming, it's coming in on LA. 82% of tickets, 76% of the cash on Washington. So Washington's public, and I was correct. The money is playing LA. The money's hitting the under. I don't really care about that. Totals also in the low 170s. I don't really do totals except for baseball. I'd probably slightly lean LA just because it is kind of a weird travel spot for Washington. Both teams are still coming off big games. Can't do it with LA after that monster performance, though. But Washington, they're not good as a favorite. They're more of a defensive team, and laying 6.5 with them, probably not something you really want to do. So maybe LA might be the right side. And over might be the right side, although we have 92%, or might be the right way to play this. We have 92% of tickets on the under, 94% of the cash on the under. But when you have 2 teams in bad spots, a lot of times it means the defense will be lackluster, and maybe the over hits in this one. I don't really want to do that, though, because Washington's a good defense. LA's not a good defense, but Washington is. So you do at least have one good defense here. And then what else? Oh, and then the other thing is, with the travel that LA is doing, that might hurt their offense, actually. Like, having to readjust to the new time zone, that could slow your offense down a little bit. So, yeah, definitely leaving that game alone. And then the big game is the CBS Paramount Plus primetime game between Minnesota and Vegas, which are probably the 2 best teams in the league. Minnesota being the best by quite a big margin. But Vegas has a chance here. I mean, they're at home, and this is probably like a 1-point spread or something. Vegas is staying at home off of those wins over Washington that weren't really anything too impressive, although Washington is a decent team. They have a good defense, at least. Vegas did play Minnesota in Minnesota not too long ago, back on the 8th, and they lost. But that was a bad spot for Vegas, even though it was a big game against Minnesota. Vegas had to come into that game with not a lot of rest, and they'd played overtime against Indiana prior to that. So the schedule makers kind of helped Minnesota in that game. Minnesota had a much better spot. Vegas lost the game by 11. So this could be kind of a bounce back. I don't want to call it revenge. Both teams will show up for this, but Vegas might be the team that makes the adjustments. You know what I mean? Now that they're at home, they might be the team with a little bit more intensity here as well to try to get this game. Minnesota, they're really hard to beat. There's no doubt about that. And Vegas's defense is kind of faltered this year. So Minnesota actually has had the better Minnesota is one of the best defenses. I mean, they've had the better defense over Vegas this year. Vegas might be the better offense out of the two, although Minnesota's a very balanced team anyway. Minnesota, though, I don't think they're in a particularly bad spot because they're already on the Pacific Coast. They just played Portland, and that was that game where they blew that 30-point lead or whatever it was. That's why I faded Portland last night, because Portland had that massive comeback, almost won that game, and it would have been a monster upset, like a 12, 13-point upset. But on the other side of that, that should scare Minnesota. Like, Minnesota was in a bad spot. I pointed that out. I should have given up Portland as a play, but, it's in hindsight. But Minnesota had played Vegas and Dallas in the 2 games prior to that and beat them both. They had this big Vegas game up next too. So it was a sandwich spot. They played poorly, especially in the second half in that game against Portland. Maybe that will have them focused, bouncing back here in this game. So it's not a spot where I really want to fade Minnesota either. I think it's a focus spot for both teams, in my opinion. So I don't know what to do with it other than maybe that means you could look towards an under. Because when you have a game where both teams are going to be focused, the total's pretty high at 182.5. Vegas does play some faster games, and they're not really that good on defense. But I think defense will be a focus in this game because it's a huge game. So the under might make sense. You're getting a high total, like I said. Money is coming in towards the under. That might be the better way to look in this game. Minnesota is also really public. 91% of tickets, 92% of the cash on them. They're a minus 1.5 point favorite here. I'd probably lean to Vegas slightly as far as the side is concerned. But I got pretty much nothing on it. So that's going to do it. Yeah, no WNBA for me today. And then we do have some NFL here. Things are not going well in Atlanta, I'll tell you that. I thought Atlanta was one of the better sides to look at yesterday in these games, and they completely shit the bed. 2-0 was awful. I don't know what else to tell you, man. Atlanta, yeah, I mean, they might be better than people are saying they will be right now, but I don't like it. I don't like Stefanski. I don't know what else to say about it. The other games kind of went more like I kind of thought they would, sort of. I thought the Jets would win at least, though, which did not happen. Anyway, we have a lot of preseason games here, 7 games. I'm not going to give out any preseason plays just because it's too chaotic, but I guess we'll run through them quick. Carolina at Buffalo. Buffalo is saying Josh Allen is going to play in this game, and sometimes that does happen now that we have 3 preseason games instead of 4, but if he is, he's only going to play 1 series, and then, yeah, you don't want to get him hurt, so that might skew the line a little bit here on this one. Buffalo is only a 3-point favorite here, though, so it's not really skewing the line that much. And they are getting the money, 71% of tickets, 87% of the cash on them. I'm not so sure, though, because Josh Allen will only be in there a very little bit at most. And then it's going to be Kyle Allen and then Shane Buckley. How do you pronounce his name? I forget it. Bukele. I forget how you pronounce that guy. Bushley. I don't know. I forget how you pronounce his name. Bushell. I should know because he was on Hard Knocks when Hard Knocks did Buffalo. They're doing Seattle this year, by the way. The first episode was decent. Anyway, these 2 guys at least do have some experience in the NFL, though, so they are experienced quarterbacks. I don't know how good they are, though, and you know that in preseason, the quarterback rotation is one of the most important things to try to kind of figure out what's going to happen in this game, although you don't really know how the quarterback's going to be used. But I like Carolina in this game, and part of it is that Carolina already has a game under their belt. They played in the Hall of Fame game, and while they looked good and they won the game, but I think having that game already under your belt is going to help you because they already kind of know what they're running. It will give Buffalo some film to look at, but Carolina, I think they have the same coach as last year, right? So I don't think they're really changing a whole lot that they did last year. Buffalo, correct me if I'm wrong, but Buffalo has a new coach, right? I think they fired McDermott, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look that up. But I'm saying that because teams with new coaches do usually play with more effort in the first preseason game because they take it more seriously, and they want to get their offense running and stuff like that, get their new schemes running. And a lot of times the opposing team won't know what to expect from that new coaching staff that's going on there. So that might be a little bit of an edge to Buffalo here. But I think I like Carolina. I think their quarterback rotation is actually better. I don't know if Bryce Young is going to be in this game or not. Kenny Pickett, I don't think he's good, but he's at least experienced. And then Haynes King looked pretty good in the Hall of Fame game, man. He's a dual threat quarterback, so that can kind of throw off defenses when they have to deal with that and stuff like that. King might get a decent amount of playing time here, man, because he might be a guy they're considering as a future quarterback here. And then Trask is their fourth quarterback. I don't know if that really matters. I kind of like Carolina here, though. Just a very slight opinion for me. Cleveland and Chicago, I mean, nobody's going to want Cleveland. I'll tell you that. Chicago, I mean, of course, we know they have Caleb Williams. I don't know if he's going to play at all in this game. They're not going to play much, but I actually like Tyson Bagent a lot. Like, I think Bagent is good, and I'm going to be honest, I think he's better than Caleb Williams. You know I'm not a Caleb Williams fan. I think he's massively overrated. You know, I gave out the Bears under their season win total as one of my best season win total plays, possibly the best, and I got some agreement from Vegas Runner on Wager Talk, watching some of their NFL stuff. He has come out and agreed with that play, so I'm like, hell yeah, I think I'm thinking about things right here. But Bagent will be in this game. He's good. And then they have Case Keenum, who's a very experienced quarterback as well. And then Miller Moss, I don't know what to think of him. I mean, he's pretty young. He came out of USC. I think this might be his second year in the NFL. But I like this Bears quarterback rotation, at least in this game. Bagent is awesome, dude. And his father is a professional arm wrestler, I believe, as well. Pretty awesome stuff. Yeah, dude. Bagent, I think he should be a starter somewhere in the NFL. Perhaps Cleveland. I think he's better than all of Cleveland's starters, man. Cleveland, we know what their quarterback room looks like. It's complete ass. Deshaun Watson's going to be their starter, and I think he should be, rightfully so. I mean, he's got experience in the NFL, and his career got derailed because, you know, he was getting hand jobs at massage parlors and whatever. He's going to be their starter, at least to start the season. I hope he does well. For Cleveland's sake, at least, because you know what I think. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is any good at all. I don't think Dylan Gabriel's any good at all. Taylor Green, who knows? He's a rookie. They drafted him out of Arkansas. He's got some talent, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of him. He did face SEC defenses at the very least. But yeah, this is an ass quarterback room, though, man, to me. So I like the Bears in this game. I think their quarterback rotation is way better. And the money's completely disagreeing with me. 72% of tickets on Chicago, 80% of the cash on Cleveland. But, of course, you know the public is definitely not going to play Cleveland. There's no way. But Cleveland's a 3.5-point favorite, and you know, that should tell me not to play Chicago, right? Because why the hell would Cleveland be a 3.5-point favorite? Some of it is that Chicago must not be playing any of their starters, you know? But even if they're not, like I showed you who their quarterbacks are. I think that's a lot better than what Cleveland has going on. So I would lean towards Chicago. The market read says Cleveland. It looks way too easy to play Chicago, so I certainly wouldn't recommend it as a play. But to me, I think their quarterback rotation is way better. Cleveland does have a new coach, though, so don't forget that. So, again, they might play a little bit harder with the new coaching schemes and stuff there. Cleveland is still a pretty good defense, so there is that. We forget about that, but throughout this whole time where Cleveland's been a bad team, their defense has been pretty solid. Minnesota at the Giants. Let's go. Haven't talked to Ben about the G-Spot podcast, although it is only preseason. You know who has a new coach? The Giants, Harbaugh. And if you remember, Harbaugh's thing was he wanted to win every preseason game. When you remember he had that run on the Ravens where I think he set a record for the longest win streak as a head coach in the preseason. And then when he finally lost it, he kind of stopped caring. But I think he's going to care. So Harbaugh, I think he's going to care about this and be ready for this. So he usually coaches to win in the preseason. I don't think we're going to see Dart probably because he will be the starter for the Giants, but you'll probably see a decent amount of Jameis Winston. I like Winston, dude. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. I think he's got a really good arm. Like, his problem has always been he just makes bad decisions and throws interceptions. I think Winston should be a starter somewhere, to be honest. But I do like him as a mentor to Jackson Dart, too. Winston's also really fun. Like, he's just hilarious. So I don't mind this Giants quarterback situation here. Brandon Allen, I don't know. I mean, he's got experience at least. But, yeah, if Winston's going to be out there, I don't mind that. Minnesota, they've decided that Kyler Murray is going to be their starter. But, of course, that might make J.J. McCarthy more motivated. And Minnesota, their quarterback situation is not exactly bad here. It's not although I don't think McCarthy's good, but he'll be motivated at the very least because Kyler Murray has won the starting job. So you're going to see a lot of McCarthy here trying to make his coach what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to, make his coach second guess that decision. Carson Wentz is also still on the roster, even though he got hurt last year, and he's kind of an older dude now, but he's a very experienced quarterback, though. And then they have Max Brosmer. I don't know what to expect out of him. He's played in the NFL, but it hasn't gone well. What do we do with this game? I don't fucking know, dude. The Giants are getting the money. Minnesota's a 1.5-point favorite. Public will probably kind of lean towards Minnesota because they've been the way better team than the Giants recently, and the public probably is going to be on the Kyler Murray hype train a little bit here. 53% of tickets, 76% of the cash on the Giants, though. I'll probably lean Giants just because new coach. Harbaugh plays to win usually. I don't really like Brandon Allen, though, and Minnesota does have kind of a deeper quarterback rotation, so I don't know. Anaheim. I'm in baseball mode all the time, man. LA Rams at Kansas City. Kansas City, Mahomes will be back from his injury, but I don't think he's playing in preseason. Why would they play him? They don't want to get him injured again, and obviously he has so much experience. They won't use him, but they have Justin Fields, who does have experience, so he'll be in the game here probably. I don't think he's good, but he has NFL experience, a lot of it. And they drafted Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. And Nussmeier, interesting, I think, because he was pretty good at LSU. And then the reason why he was such ass last year, I think, was because he wasn't healthy. Like, if you saw his Gruden quarterback camp, he talked about that and how he had injuries throughout that entire season and tried to play through the whole thing. And then they have Oladokun, however you pronounce his name. He played a little bit last year after Mahomes went down. I don't know, but it's decent quarterback experience. I would say decent depth here for Kansas City. Of course, they don't have a coaching change or anything like that, and neither do the Rams. But we know, these are top-tier starting quarterbacks here that are likely not in this game. Matthew Stafford for the Rams, obviously. The Rams drafted Ty Simpson, so I think you're going to see a lot of him in this game. They're going to want to see what they have with him, although he's listed behind Stetson Bennett IV. Who the fuck is that? I seriously have no clue. No clue. I have no idea. I guess he's played in the NFL a little bit, maybe. I don't remember it. I don't recognize the name. It looks like he's 28 and he went to Georgia, got drafted in 2023 by the Rams. That's news to me. But he's going to be in the mix, I guess. And then they have Matthew Caldwell, who I don't remember much about him. Yeah, he's a really young guy. Looks like he was at Texas, but he must have been a backup at Texas. I don't know much about him, but Simpson, I think, is going to get a lot of the playing time here because he's the guy they drafted, like, possibly to be the next guy after Matthew Stafford. He only played 1 year in college, so we'll see. He was at Alabama, I believe, right? Yeah. I think he might be good. Like, I don't know, man. I watched his Gruden quarterback camp. I try to gauge what I think these quarterbacks are going to be in the NFL, and I think sometimes I get it right. I think I was right about saying that Jackson Dart would be good. I think Carson Beck is going to be good, so we'll see if that happens. Simpson, maybe. We'll see what he can do here, but I don't mind that in this game. I don't know, man. I mean, I probably still kind of lean Kansas City, though, and the money is agreeing with it. Kansas City's a slight favorite. The public wants nothing to do with Kansas City because the way they finished last year was awful. And, of course, Mahomes is not going to play in this game, I would imagine. 76% of the tickets are on the Rams, 65% of the cash on Kansas City. But, the public is still – they want to go with what they saw last. And the Rams looked good. And the Rams, of course, there's all this hype around them now because, they had a good offseason. The Rams are now the favorite to win the Super Bowl, the odds-on favorite. I mean, they're still like 5-1 probably. But the Rams have the best odds to win the Super Bowl. So the public – is on the hype train. I think Kansas City's under the radar, man. As I mentioned with my NFL Futures show that I did, it wasn't one of my plays, but one of the first one that I left off my card, I think, was Kansas City to go over their season win total. Like, I don't really hate that. Like, as long as Mahomes doesn't get hurt again, I think Kansas City should be in contention this year again. All right, Jacksonville and New Orleans. probably Jacksonville's going to get the public action here because they looked good last year and they made the playoffs and whatever. But you're going to be watching, again, it's mostly going to be backup quarterbacks here. So for New Orleans, Tyler Shuck is their quarterback here. And he looks like he might be good, dude. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do this year. I'm a little bit high on him, to be honest, and kind of high on New Orleans this year just for that reason. I think they have a shot to win this shitty division they're in. But today it's going to be Spencer Rattler, Zach Wilson, and then whoever the hell Hunter Deckers is. But Rattler and Wilson both have experience. Wilson has experience banging other dudes' moms, so we know that. So I do like that. Rattler has never really been good, but he does have experience at least. So it's an experienced quarterback room there at least. Jacksonville, both teams I don't think are changing coaches. As far as I know, Jacksonville definitely won't after Liam Cohen had a great first season. For Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence is obviously their starter. He's probably not playing here. Then I don't really know the last two guys here. I do know who Nick Mullins is. Very funny comedian. Oh, wait, no. Nick Mullins, he's got some NFL experience. He was on Minnesota for a while. He's played, so he'll probably get a lot of the action here for Jacksonville. Then I have no idea who Carter Bradley and Joey Aguilar are. So, Aguilar, I have no clue. I kind of like New Orleans in this one. They're favored. And again, the public, like I said, they're on Jacksonville because the public is just looking at which team was better last year. Which is Jacksonville. Which team is probably going to be better this year? Yeah, that's probably Jacksonville. But this is preseason, man. And you look at those quarterback rotations, you got to think New Orleans has the better one. 70% of the tickets are on Jacksonville, 60% of the cash on New Orleans. New Orleans is also favored, so that kind of tells you something. The public's going to think, well, I'm getting the better team. The Jags is the underdog here, so that's what they're going to do. Yeah, I mean, no, I like the Saints there, and I think the Saints might surprise people as well this year, like I said. So, over the top, I don't think I know what that movie is. No, I have not seen that, I don't think. Philadelphia, Baltimore. This will be an interesting one. Both of these teams are supposed to be good this year. Baltimore has a new coach, so that might motivate them in this game, of course. Again, it's a good angle. First preseason game. Look for the new coach to pull out some new things and whatever. I don't think Lamar Jackson will play here, but we do have Tyler Huntley here. He's got a lot of experience in the NFL, and he knows Baltimore's system well, although it's going to be a new system this year. But Huntley has been Lamar Jackson's backup for a huge amount of his career. Then they have Joey Fagnano, Mr. Italian. I don't even know who I do know who he is. He went to UConn. Yeah, that's right. He was pretty good in college at UConn, so we'll see what Fagnano. I should know how to pronounce it because I am Italian. Fagnano, whatever. Yeah, him. And then they have Austin Reed, who I think has played a little bit in. He was on the Bears for a while. He's out of Western Kentucky, I think. He's played a little bit. Yeah, I know who he is. He's played a little bit in the NFL as well, at least in preseason. Not a horrible rotation for the Ravens here, I would say. Philadelphia, we know Jalen Hurts is their starter. We know they have not changed their coaching or anything like that. They have Andy Dalton. They have the Red Rocket or whatever you call him. He's got a lot of experience, so he'll probably be in the game. Tanner McKee will probably be in the mix too because he's younger and he's been in this Eagles system since they drafted him a couple of years ago probably. So maybe some okay experience here. Plus McKee knows the system. He'll be out there, trying to do well because he might be considered to be the next guy in line for Philadelphia. And then Cole Payton, I have no idea who that is. But, yeah, I mean, the quarterback rotation is decent for both teams. I'm going to lean to the Ravens, though. Public looks like they're on the Ravens, though. 66% of tickets on them. I didn't expect that because Baltimore didn't look good at the end of last year, and then they wound up missing the playoffs, you know what I mean? But a lot of it was because Lamar Jackson was hurt, but then he looked like he just didn't want to play, and that's a problem. So I think there was a problem between him and Harbaugh. So Baltimore, a lot of what they do this year is going to depend on will Lamar Jackson mesh with the new quarterback, with the new coach, We will see. But 93% of the cash on Philadelphia here. I don't really agree with that. I actually thought the public would be on the Eagles because they had the better season last year. Everybody pretty much knows they're a contender pretty much every year. I think Baltimore should be a contender again this year, but we will see. They definitely do have some question marks, though. But I like Baltimore in this game. I think the quarterback rotation is a little bit better, and I like the new coach trying to win the game. I think there's more motivation there. Then we have Dallas and Seattle. Neither of these teams changed their coach after last year. Dallas is trying to get things going under, Brian Schottenheimer there. Seattle, with Mike McDonald, obviously, did a really good job with them last year. Sam Darnold, I assume, will not play here. They have Drew Lock, who does have a lot of experience. Not necessarily a great quarterback, but he's been in the NFL for quite a while. And then they have Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, who I don't think has played very much in the NFL, and he's still pretty young. So we'll see what that quarterback duo can do in this game against the Dallas Cowboys, who obviously their starter is Dak Prescott. He probably won't play in this game. They have Joe Milton III, who actually doesn't look that bad to me. Like, he was on the Patriots for a little while, played a little bit, I don't know, a couple years ago. And then they have Sam Howell, who does have experience. I think he's been around for a while, right? Actually, not as long as I thought, but a couple of years. I don't know. I don't know if I really love this rotation here, though, for the Cowboys. But, the public's going to play Seattle here, right? Well, it looks like 59% of the tickets are on Dallas, but more of the money's on Dallas. 80% of the cash on Dallas. To me, it seems like the public will come in on Seattle, right? Because they're the Super Bowl winner. That's what people are going to do. They're going to overlook Dallas because Dallas has been kind of a laughing stock the last few years. I think maybe Dallas is going to be a little bit of an under-the-radar team here. I'd probably lean Dallas here, but I don't really think they have the better quarterback tandem. I mean, I don't know. It's close. Like, I don't love either quarterback tandem here that's going to be involved in this game. So I don't know. And then the other thing I will point out with all these games is the totals are low in these first preseason games, although they've gone up in recent years. Like, the totals have been getting a little bit higher in recent years because these games tend to be lower scoring because the offenses sometimes take a little while to get going. But what I've been saying is that when you have young quarterbacks that you think are going to be like showcased, because like Ty Simpson, for example, I think those games might have more of a tendency to go over the total. Even though that particular game, where is it? LA. Yeah, that game does have money coming in on the over, by the way. Rams and Kansas City. I think it's because of things like that. Like, those quarterbacks, might go out and actually play hard and actually show something. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the new way that the NFL operates. But I think the lower scoring games tend to be the ones where you have the experienced quarterbacks that just don't really have anything to show. And those teams kind of tend to go more vanilla on offense. You know what I mean? They just don't want to really show anything and show what they plan to do. But of course, if the team is showcasing one of their quarterbacks that's not going to be the starter to start the season, I think they're more likely to just unleash stuff with that quarterback because it might not be plays that they're actually going to run with their actual starting quarterback either. So there you go. What? Fagnano? I mean, he's a DEI hire. He's a gay NFL player. No, I don't think he is. All right. That's going to do it. Really long show here. I was thinking of doing the NFL preseason stuff last night, but I don't know. I mean, I don't give out any plays on it. I just did the show a little bit earlier today to get it done, and I'm going to leave soon. The only plays I got today are in baseball. We're on the Detroit Tigers money line and Milwaukee Brewers money line. The market doesn't agree with either of them. I agree with myself, though, and I think we have the best starting pitching matchups to go within those two. So let's do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. I don't know if I'm able to say these platform names. I don't know. You can go to patreon.com and subscribe to me there and throw me some support that way. Like, subscribe, do all the things on the channel here. Give me good replies. Boost this channel. That will help, obviously. We're on audio, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Listening over there helps me out as well. Covered in Uke is my ukulele channel on YouTube. You can check that out as well. Losercast every Tuesday. We have a couple of obvious losers for this week already, and I think I'm going to take one of the two probably. And then, what else? Oh, yeah, the G-Spot podcast. I mean, football's starting, so I got to talk to Ben. He's been busy as a husband and father, but I don't know. Well, I'll talk to him and try to figure something out there with that. And maybe Adam Nutter will actually do the show with us as well. I don't know. We'll see. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Bald, we will see. Clint is going to be over here on Friday briefly before he leaves for the Tom Cruise, the Tom Woods Cruise. I don't know. I don't think we could do it live because I don't have a multi-mic setup here, though, because I was thinking that would be cool if we did like a live show here. Maybe we could find a way of doing it, but I don't know, because I only have a one mic setup here, and my device only allows for one mic, so I don't know. Unless we could share the mic and be really gay. Do like the Beatles thing. Yeah, no, I don't know. It sounds very gay. I'll talk to Clint. Maybe he'll come on the show and we'll do like a normal episode of it. I don't know. We'll see. That's going to do it. Peace. Oh, and yeah, because you mentioned bald, I will also be doing preview shows again. I'll probably do another NFL preview show right before the season starts. And I'm going to do a college one at some point before college starts within the next like week and a half or so. So previewing college football, I did a little bit of research at least, so I know a little bit about what's going on in the college landscape now. So at least I think I could talk about it a little bit. That's going to do it. Peace.
If the dark starts talking, hand me the phone. Let somebody answer, let somebody know. You do not have to lose this round alone. Hold on, not tonight, not now. You're still here.